Chapter 285. Unlin was elated when he saw the system's mission. Strike by lightning? He wasn't afraid of that. However, he was more than happy to learn cultivation technique. We have to kill the holy demon. But isn't the holy demon completely sealed on the island by serene? If you can't complete the 10 spirits blood sacrifice formation, can it still break the seal? Unlin was a little confused when he saw the system's request. He turned to the demonic dragon and asked curiously. The flaming demonic dragon nodded. Shen Yin's seal is too old. It's already weakened. We used the 10 spirits blood sacrifice formation to make the holy demon's resurrection smoother and recover its strength faster. Even without this formation, the holy demon can still break the seal with the power of heaven and earth once the sun in the sky forms a line. The only thing we can do now is to completely destroy the 10 spirits blood sacrifice formation. When the holy demon awakens, it will be extremely weak without a source of energy. That will be the best time for us to defeat it. Now that the demonic dragon and Unlin were on the same boat, it naturally wouldn't hide any other information. Where's the holy demon's seal? Can we kill it while it's still sealed? Unlin asked curiously. He remembered that Shen Yin had sealed it on a purple mountain, but that mountain had disappeared. The demonic dragon smiled helplessly. The holy demon has already merged with the Zimeng mountain and become a part of the island. That's the only way it can absorb the energy of the sun to the maximum. Unlin looked around the vast land and rubbed his brows. Then there's no other way. We can't release the holy demon. We can only wait for it to break the seal and then kill it. The demonic dragon said, "The sun will form a line in 3 days." Unlin nodded. "All right, then we'll make preparations in the next 3 days." Meanwhile, in the depths of the East Sea, there was an extremely prosperous city of light. It was like the only pearl in the darkness, emitting a light as bright as day. This city was called Dragon City. It had a population of over 100 million dragons. At the same time, there were also living beings from various races of the East Sea living here. It was an extremely tolerant and open city. The number 1 faction in the East Sea, the Dragon Court, was located above Dragon City. If Dragon City was the most dazzling pearl in the Eastern Sea, then the Dragon Court was the most dazzling diamond on this pearl. The palaces of the Dragon Court could be said to be extremely beautiful. Every place exuded extravagance. Even the bricks on the ground were meticulously carved by craftsmen. Perhaps this was the taste of the Dragon Clan. They all had a hobby of collecting and showing off treasures. At this moment, the Dragon Court's Supreme Dragon King was angrily staring at the woman kneeling on the ground. The ministers of the Dragon tribe and the members of the royal family stood on 2 sides with expressions of pity, confusion, or schadenfreude. The atmosphere in the main hall was extremely heavy, and the oppressive atmosphere made it hard for people to breathe. However, at the center of the entire incident, the woman in the blue robe who was kneeling on the ground had an indifferent expression. The Dragon King looked at the woman with a look of exasperation. "You have the best aptitude and the purest bloodline among the younger generation of the Dragon Court. You are also the prodigy with the highest chance of reaching the Tao integration stage. You sacrificed your own bloodline to save that city of Pearl people and those strange human cultivators. Can't you just run away if you can't beat them? Even if the entire Pearl Kingdom is destroyed, it's not worth it for you to cripple your own bloodline, let alone a city of Pearl people. Idiot. Idiot beyond belief." The Dragon King's body trembled slightly, and he became more and more enraged as he spoke. He didn't think that the daughter he had high hopes for would sacrifice her own cultivation. Even in front of the higher-ups of the Dragon Court, he couldn't help but let loose a torrent of abuse. The woman lowered her head slightly. "This is a decision that Bailian made out of her own free will. Bailian is willing to bear all the consequences." "You want to bear all the consequences? You're shouldering the responsibility of reviving the future of the Dragon Court. I've always given you the best cultivation resources, but now you've ruined that future. Tell me, how are you going to bear all the consequences?" The Dragon King's hands trembled with rage as he stared at the silent woman before him. From now on, Ao Shaoqian is stripped of her right to represent the Dragon Court. All of her cultivation resources are to be given to Ao Kong. The Dragon King spoke again. "Thank you, Father." A crimson-haired man made his way to Bailien's side before kneeling down to the Dragon King with gratitude on his face. Everyone lowered their heads slightly, and no one had any objections. This was not a strange decision. In a sense, it could be said that the Dragon Princess, who had once been hailed as the hope of the Dragon Court, had completely fallen from grace. The Dragon tribe focused on their bloodline, and if their bloodline was tainted beyond repair, they would most likely never be able to make any progress in their cultivation. In other words, Bailien had already been reduced to a cripple who couldn't cultivate. Her fate was almost foreseeable, and she would most likely be married off as a tool for political alliances. The Dragon King flew into a rage in the main palace, but Bailien had already accepted her fate. Her expression was indifferent, and it was impossible to tell whether she was happy or angry. Bailien exited the main palace and made her way to the side of the Jade Lake to pluck another tree branch. 11th sister, I didn't think you would do something so stupid. The crimson-haired man walked over with a wistful expression on his face. Bailien bowed gracefully. 9th brother, I don't think I did anything wrong. I told you. With your personality, you won't be able to go far even if you have talent. I was right, wasn't I? You probably won't even be able to reach the soul formation final stage, much less the return to void stage. The crimson-haired man shook his head as a mocking expression appeared on his face. He couldn't even be bothered to put on an act anymore. It was precisely because Bailien had overshadowed his brilliance that the Dragon Court had given all of its cultivation resources to Bailien, yet no one cared about him. Why? Just because of Bailien's bloodline? But now? Bailien had even crippled her bloodline in order to save some pearl. What a joke. What an adorable little sister. The crimson-haired man couldn't be bothered to speak to someone like her. He chuckled lightly before departing. Bailien didn't say anything. Instead, she broke off a branch from a tree and squatted beside the Jade Lake. She began to stir the goldfish at the bottom of the lake. These goldfish had formed a school, and they quickly scattered after being stirred by her. Before they knew it, the goldfish had gathered together again. Her cherry lips parted slightly, causing ripples to appear on the surface of the lake and scaring away a few more goldfish. 11th sister, I just saw Chi Wu pass by with a smile on his face. Did that bastard say anything to you? Father has gone too far. He actually scolded you in front of so many people. He didn't even give you any cultivation resources. Are you even his biological son? A beautiful young girl in a white dress walked to Bailien's side and spoke angrily. Bailien shook her head lightly. I can understand why father is doing this. He's placing all of his hopes on his children. He hopes that a Dao integration stage true dragon will appear in the Dragon Court and become a first-rate power in the Taichu continent. Inu pursed her lips in dissatisfaction. That's right. He's almost become a breeding dragon for the sake of his dream of unifying the East Sea and the 100 tribes. He's found so many wives and has so many children, but he only treats his family members by dividing them into useful and useless ones. I heard from the High Priest that the Dragon King intends to betroth you to Xia Zhe in order to rope him in. What on earth is going on? Bailien's slender hand trembled slightly, and the tree branch fell into the lake, scaring away all the goldfish in the lake. Inu looked at Bailien with a worried expression. She didn't know what to say. Xia Zhe was the captain of the Dragon Court's Divine Guardian Squad, and he had been in love with Bailien for a long time. At the time, Bailien was the little dragon princess, and her status was extremely revered. 2 years ago, she publicly rejected Xia Zhe's advances, and no one said anything about it. But now, Baelian's status had plummeted, and the Dragon King actually decided to betroth her. Even Inu felt extremely disappointed. One had to realize that Baelian had already lost her mother, and she no longer had a path of cultivation. Now, even her last bit of happiness was going to be taken away from her. Baelian came to her senses slightly, and a rare expression of desolation appeared in her eyes. She changed the topic. "Oh right, why did you call Chi Wu a bastard just then? Weren't you on good terms with him before?" Inu faltered slightly upon hearing this. She recalled that she and Chi Wu had chosen to remain silent at the same time. She didn't say anything because she wanted to protect that man, and Chi Wu didn't say anything to protect his own image. Inu pondered for a moment, and decided to tell Baelian. "I'll tell you something in secret, but you can't tell anyone. In the Dragon Court's ancient battlefield, I accidentally entered the myriad ghost realm. Chi Wu was afraid of danger, so he left me among the ghosts and ran away by himself. If it wasn't for a human cultivator who came to my rescue, I would have most likely died there." "Really? Then, who was that cultivator who saved you? He saved your life, and you let him go just like that?" Baelian asked with a hint of a smile on her face. Inu's heart sank again when she recalled that cultivator's vile behavior. His name is Enlin, and he'll come to the Dragon Court to find me. You'll be able to see him then." "His name is Enlin?" Baelian's expression faltered, and her cold voice trembled slightly. Chapter 286. The night sky was as dark as ink, and the moon was obscured by dark clouds. For some reason, the thick fog began to disperse, and specks of starlight could be seen twinkling in the sky. On Venerate Demon Island, the 10 spirits' sacrificial formation had already been completely destroyed, and fresh blood had dried up on the ground. The ground glowed with a purple light, and there was a hint of a bewitching aura. The 6-winged dragon emperor circled in the sky, and crimson flames twined around its body, illuminating half the sky. Enlin, Dabai, Xiaoqiu, and Gundam 1 and Gundam 2 all stood on a black brick, and they looked down at Venerate Demon Island with solemn expressions. The trap that they had prepared using Gundam 1 and Gundam 2 was already in place. Now they only had to wait for the Holy Demon to break out of its seal. At its peak, the Holy Demon had the power of the Return to Void initial stage. Even in the entire continent, it was considered a top-notch cultivator. Back then, Shen Yin was at the half-step Return to Void stage, and she was an extremely talented cultivator. Even after using countless trump cards, she still couldn't kill it. She could only seal it in the Purple Mist Mountain. From this, it could be seen how terrifying the Holy Demon was at that time. Now that the Holy Demon had been sealed for almost 10,000 years, there was finally hope that it could break out of its seal. At that time, it was at its weakest, but its power was still unfathomable. Thus, regarding the question of whether they could defeat the Holy Demon, Enlin and the others weren't very sure. At some point in time, the 9 golden stars formed a line, and it hung in the night sky like a golden longsword. Rumble, suddenly, the purple ground began to tremble slightly. "It's here." Enlin's heart thumped, and he began to speak nervously. The power of the stars in the night sky seemed to be attracted by some kind of power from the purple ground. The 9 golden stars became even brighter, and a wisp of golden light descended from the sky, slowly merging with Venerate Demon Island. Gotcha, as if some shackle had been broken, the purple light on Venerate Demon Island suddenly dimmed. Immediately afterward, a pillar of purple light soared into the sky, piercing through the clouds as if it was going to break through this part of the world. Holy F***CK. This scene is definitely the scene of the birth of a great demon king. Enlin of astonishment, and his entire body began to tense up as he stared intently at the pillar of light on the ground. The purple light disappeared, and a humanoid figure appeared on the ground. His skin was dark purple, and his eyes were deep and gloomy, like bottomless black holes. There was a purple halo above his head, releasing brilliant divine light. "Lord Holy One!" The six-winged dragon emperor shuddered when it saw the holy demon appear. It couldn't help but feel a sense of awe and reverence. This was an emotion that a low-level being naturally felt toward a high-level being. The holy demon lifted his head and looked at the crowd in the sky. There was no change in his expression. Begin the battle. Electromagnetic lightning bomb, activate. Unlin suddenly said. Boom! The ball of lightning hidden in the ground moved to the holy demon's feet and exploded. The ground within a radius of 1,000 feet was instantly annihilated by the lightning explosion, and the entire area became a lightning purgatory. The six-winged dragon emperor opened its mouth and breathed out. Crimson flames descended from the sky toward the holy demon. It was like heavenly flames punishing the holy demon, causing the entire ground to explode and melt. Gundam 1 and Gundam 2's photovoltaic cannons shot toward the holy demon at the same time. Xiao Chao's black flames, Dabai's wind blades, and Enlin's mountain-quaking lightning fist all shot toward the holy demon. Rumble! The terrifying energy caused the island to tremble and the ocean to churn. The explosion of energy made it seem as if a blazing sun had appeared in the night sky, illuminating the entire heaven and earth. The six-winged dragon emperor's heart trembled at the sight of such a terrifying and concentrated attack. It knew that it wouldn't be able to withstand such an attack even if it had 10 lives. Whoosh! A streak of purple light shot toward the six-winged dragon emperor like a bolt of lightning. The six-winged dragon emperor's pupils contracted. This was the holy demon. Although it was injured and purple blood flowed from its body, its aura, which was as vast as the sea, was rapidly increasing. It had already reached an extremely terrifying level. The holy demon's entire body was enveloped in a purple aura. Like a bolt of lightning, it instantly pierced through the six-winged dragon emperor's body. Howl! The six-winged dragon emperor howled in anguish. A large hole appeared in its body, and blood sprayed through the air. It was too fast. It was so fast that the six-winged dragon emperor didn't even have time to put up any defenses. Whoosh! The holy demon didn't slow down. It transformed into a streak of purple light again and charged toward the six-winged dragon emperor's head. Boom! The streak of purple light collided with the blue halo this time, and a series of violent ripples erupted from it. The Gundam took action. The ionic deprivation protection formation was activated, and it finally managed to block the holy demon's attack. Just as the protective formation was starting to crack, another Gundam slashed toward the holy demon with a light sword. The holy demon retreated and easily dodged the light sword's attack. Purple Star Bloodline Artificial Intelligence Weapon? The holy demon spoke calmly. A strange expression appeared on its face. Then, it turned its gaze toward the six-winged dragon emperor. You've defied my will, surrendered to the enemy, and broken the 10 spirits' blood sacrifice formation. You've committed a capital crime. The holy demon had just finished speaking when the purple halo above its head suddenly doubled in size. A suffocating aura was released from its body without restraint. Bracelet-like purple halos also began to appear on its hands. It raised its hand and punched out. The purple figure's fist, which was as heavy as a mountain, crashed toward the ionic deprivation protection formation. The ionic deprivation protection formation cracked. In the next instant, the blue barrier of light shattered like glass. The fist shattered the protective formation and landed on the six-winged dragon emperor's head. The six-winged dragon emperor suffered a concussion from the terrifying power of this punch. Just as the holy demon's fist landed, the dragon emperor's head caved in, and he began to foam at the mouth as he plummeted toward the ground. A streak of white light streaked through the air and slashed toward the holy demon's neck at an extremely strange angle. The holy demon, which had always been extremely calm and collected, suddenly changed its expression and retreated explosively. Purple blood splattered into the air again. A wound that was neither deep nor shallow appeared on the holy demon's neck. A masked monkey appeared behind the holy demon. Its silver cudgel tore through space and smashed toward the holy demon's head. The holy demon turned around and smashed its fist toward the silver cudgel. Boom! A tremendous force crashed into the clown, causing him to vomit blood and fly backward. Right at this moment, heaven and earth suddenly turned pitch black. Everything fell silent. Only a black sword projection carrying with it the power of absolute destruction slashed toward the holy demon's back. After unleashing the wind sword, Unlin resolutely used the second technique of the 6 strikes of the war god, Shadow Tiger. The black sword projection extended for over 1,000 feet and fell soundlessly. It was as if it was going to slice through and devour all things. A shriek sounded, and the purple figure retreated madly into the distance, leaving a trail of blood behind it. Light reappeared between heaven and earth. The holy demon appeared 1,000 meters away from Unlin. It stared at Unlin in shock. From its head to its waist there was a ghastly wound. It seemed as if its body was about to be torn in half. Purple blood flowed continuously from the wound and splattered onto the ground. If a normal cultivator were to suffer such a serious injury, they would have died a long time ago. However, the holy demon only panted heavily and looked at Unlin cautiously. I underestimated my enemy. I didn't think that a cultivator of the spirit-nurturing stage could use such a terrifying sword technique. The holy demon had to admit that the cultivator in front of it almost caused it to fail miserably. Unlin's heart jolted with shock. Even a soul formation final stage cultivator would die on the spot if he and Xiao Cho were to unleash a surprise attack from the demonic dragon. However, the holy demon's reaction speed was far too fast. Not only was it able to dodge the wind sword, but it was also able to dodge most of the damage from the Shadow Tiger's unpredictable attack. Unlin swallowed a blood spirit pill and started to recover his energy. Gundam 1, Gundam 2, go! The holy demon was already severely injured. The 2 Gundams pounced toward the holy demon again. This time, the 2 Gundams were finally able to put up a fight. They were able to exchange blows with the holy demon. After swallowing the blood spirit pill, Unlin quickly replenished the energy he had expended from using the 6 strikes of the war god. So what if the holy demon is strong? I'll kill it even if I have to fight it out. A confident expression appeared on his face. He raised his sword and flew toward the holy demon again. Chapter 287. Boom! The holy demon's body was sent flying by the Gundam and crashed into a small mountain, causing half of it to collapse. At this moment, Unlin had already spread open his wings of wind and appeared in front of the holy demon like a gust of wind. He slashed down with his sword without hesitation. The holy demon revealed a vicious expression and also punched toward Unlin. The fist and sword didn't meet. Both of them were planning to exchange blows. Rip! One of the holy demon's arms was severed. Unlin's shoulder was struck by the fist. The bones and flesh around him were instantly twisted and shattered by the immense force, and his body was sent flying. At this moment, Gundam 1 and Gundam 2 charged toward the holy demon again. Unlin swallowed a first-grade spirit pill, the vitality replenishment pill. Crackle! White light erupted from his body, and the flesh around his shoulder started to heal at a visible rate. At the same time, the evergreen technique also started to heal him. The vitality replenishment pill could not only quickly recover vital energy, but it could also heal internal injuries at an extremely fast rate. Its effects were almost comparable to low-grade immortal pills. However, he swallowed it without hesitation. He wanted to exhaust the holy demon to death. He might not be able to defeat the holy demon with his strength, but he had a lot of pills. Unlin had never been afraid of anyone in a battle of attrition. Just like that, the holy demon became more and more disheveled. The number of injuries on his body increased, but Unlin was as fierce as ever. Vital energy? Stamina? Injuries? These weren't problems. Soon, the holy demon's situation became extremely dire. Boom! He was careless, and his body was once again heavily injured by Unlin. You forced me to do this. Blood sacrificial god, 5 times the strength. A vicious expression appeared on the holy demon's face. He never thought that he would have to sacrifice his lifespan and potential. However, if he didn't do this, he would be exhausted to death by this human cultivator. The blood in the holy demon's body surged, and the purple halo above his head increased by 5 times. As the light grew brighter, his aura also increased explosively, reaching a level that made even Enlin's heart palpitate. F***ck, this isn't simple. Enlin's expression changed, and he commanded, Demon Dragon, attack. The 6-winged dragon emperor. Perhaps it was the effect of the slave contract, but it dragged its heavily injured body and spat out its strongest move, the scarlet flame blood fireball. The nearly 30-meter-wide fireball whistled through the air. Everywhere it passed, the air distorted and the earth melted. The holy demon looked at the fireball and punched out. Spatial ripples spread out. An indescribably mysterious power instantly shattered the fireball and sent the demonic dragon flying hundreds of meters away. The 6-winged dragon emperor lay on the ground like a dead snake. This time, it really wasn't going to make it. Spatial power. This holy demon's strength is already close to the return to void stage. Enlin's heart sank upon seeing this, and he immediately stopped Xiao Chou and Dabai from taking the risk to attack. The holy demon's expression was bone-chilling as it stared at Enlin with its pitch-black eyes. Gundam 1 and Gundam 2 pounced toward the holy demon. Light swords, cannonballs, and flames rained down upon it. However, the holy demon's speed was frighteningly fast this time, and Gundam 1 and Gundam 2's attacks all missed. In just 3 breaths, one of the Gundams was sent flying hundreds of meters and crashed into a mountain. The other Gundam was punched into the ground, and no one knew how deep it was. How dare you force me to sacrifice my god with blood? I'm going to devour your flesh, refine your consciousness, and send you into eternal hell. The holy demon walked toward Enlin with an invincible aura. Its voice was like that of an evil god, striking fear into the hearts of those who heard it. Enlin spat lightly. Arrogant? Do you think you're the only one who has a buff body? Boom! Enlin's aura also began to soar explosively, and he instantly reached the soul formation stage. Origin energy of the netherworld. 3 techniques, 100 swords. The evil-slaying sword let out a clear ringing sound and flew into the air. 99 white celestial swords began to materialize in the air, exuding a might that caused the space around them to tremble. The 100 swords unleashed by the origin energy of the netherworld were many times more powerful than when he had slain the overlord whale. Once the sword intent of the 100 swords was unleashed, the entire heaven and earth became filled with killing intent. Even the dust floating in the air was annihilated into nothingness. The holy demon's footsteps faltered, and an expression of shock appeared in its eyes. It took a deep breath and stabbed a hand into its heart. Holy sacrifice, purple god nirvana whirlpool. Boom! A purple whirlpool suddenly appeared in a radius of 100 feet around it. Its center was as deep as a black hole that could engulf all things, and its surroundings were as sharp as blades that could tear apart heaven and earth. The celestial swords moved. They carried with them a boundless sword intent and vast might, and they were like shooting stars that streaked across the sky as they stabbed toward the holy demon, who was walking toward Enlin. Boom, boom, boom. Every white celestial sword had the power to slay the 6-winged dragon emperor. However, when they came into contact with the purple whirlpool, they were forcefully shattered by the terrifying wind blade. The 99 white celestial swords relentlessly bombarded the holy demon, but the holy demon's footsteps didn't stop. The purple whirlpool began to shrink as the celestial swords continued to vibrate. The celestial swords' attacks ended, but they were unable to break through the holy demon's purple god nirvana whirlpool. Enlin pinned his hopes on the final sword strike. The evil-slaying sword's power had already reached its peak. It drew a deathly black line in the air, and it carried with it a heaven-piercing sword intent as it crashed toward the purple whirlpool like a comet striking the moon. Break! The black sword projection was unstoppable, and it pierced through the purple whirlpool. Even the black hole in the center of the whirlpool was sliced open. Purple halos appeared on the holy demon's arms, and it fiercely slapped the black longsword that was stabbing toward its heart. Boom! The shock waves from the sword projection tore a trench over 1,000 meters in length into the ground. Blood splattered from the holy demon's hands, and the tip of the sword was only 3 inches away from its heart, and Lin's heart felt as if it had fallen into an icy cavern. It blocked it? He had a limited time to use the origin energy of the netherworld, and he had planned to use this technique to completely defeat the holy demon. This was also the most powerful technique he could use at the moment. However, he didn't expect that even this technique would be blocked by the holy demon. A sinister expression appeared on the holy demon's face. "You've really surprised me. I admit that you are indeed a little frighteningly powerful. However, how much longer can your mystic technique last? How many more times can you use this technique? You've lost." And Lin knew that he was already in a dire situation. Even if he used the 100-sword technique again, he might not be able to kill the holy demon. Just what kind of technique could he use to secure victory in a single strike? His mind raced, and he finally thought of a certain technique. "I'll probably die if I use that technique while I'm in the origin energy of the netherworld state." As the holy demon drew closer and closer, Lin gritted his teeth and made a decision. He couldn't care less anymore. He placed the shield of promised victory in front of his chest, and his left hand drew lightning while his right hand glowed with a golden light. The lightning and golden light slowly fused together, and the intent realm of the primordial darkness began to blend together. The violent lightning began to be drawn in by the black threads, and it slowly quieted down. A suffocating might began to spread outward. The holy demon's eyelids twitched when it saw Lin's fist, and it immediately charged toward Lin. Nuclear lightning fist. Lin let out a loud roar as he thrust out his golden fist. The 30-feet-wide golden lightning fist smashed toward the holy demon. Black threads bloomed like a lotus flower within the fist. They brought with them the power of annihilation and violence, pulling at the fist like thin threads, causing it to shrink in an eerie manner. The holy demon didn't even think about it, and it immediately retreated. Everything fell silent. The golden fist that was nearing the holy demon exploded with a loud bang just as the space around it was unable to withstand the energy. The destructive lightning engulfed the holy demon and Lin, who was protected by the golden light shield. It annihilated the earth and shattered the island. Finally, a gigantic mushroom cloud rose up from Venerate Demon Island, illuminating the entire world. Chapter 288. The last scene that Lin saw was boundless light, heat, and lightning filling the entire space. The shield of promised victory's golden light shield blocked a portion of the impact before completely collapsing. The remaining impact still crashed into Lin's body, tearing his body apart and shattering his internal organs. Ding Dong, detected that the holy demon's heart has been completely destroyed. Mission complete. Beginning Level 2 Thunder Essence Cultivation Technique. This was the last sound that Lin heard. Then, he completely fell into darkness. After an unknown period of time, walala, walala, Lin opened his bleary eyes as he listened to the sound of waves crashing into his ears. There were a few white clouds floating in the blue sky. He blinked his eyes and finally recalled what had happened before he fainted. Heh! I've finally killed the holy demon. It's all because I'm powerful, decisive, and courageous that I've achieved a great victory. Let's get up first. Lin raised his neck and tried to sit up. His neck moved, but there was no reaction from his body. Then, he discovered something very shocking. F***CK. Why can't I move my waist? I can't move my hands either. I can't move my feet either. No. I can't feel anything other than the area above my neck. He suddenly thought of a phrase. Hi paraplegia. Lin, goodbye. Clown. He called out loudly. Not far away, a voice suddenly sounded. Big Brotherin, you're finally awake, woof! A series of hurried footsteps sounded. Dabai's adorable yet mighty face appeared in front of Enlin. What happened to me? Enlin asked with a bitter expression. Dabai stuck out his tongue. Big Brotherin, you released a nuclear bomb and blasted the holy demon into nothingness. How domineering! Woof! I'm asking, what happened to me? Enlin added with tears in his eyes, can I still be saved? He lifted his neck and glanced at his body. He found that his body was wrapped in white cloth, and a white healing array formation was continuously healing him. Don't panic, don't panic. It was terrifying when you were blown up just now. Your whole body was burnt black, and even one of your legs was gone. Third brother and I were so scared that we thought you were done for. Dabai shook his head and sighed. Although you didn't die at that time, you weren't much better off. You only had one breath left. If it weren't for the fact that Xiao Chou made a prompt decision to forcibly refine your storage ring and find that 9th-grade immortal pill, the Azure Yang pill, which can bring a person back to life, and give it to you on the spot, perhaps you really would have been done for. Woof! Enlin listened to the twists and turns of the plot and looked at his feet. It should be the effect of the Azure Yang pill. He was still a little worried. What's going on with me now? Dabai scratched his head. You ask me, but who am I supposed to ask? Oh, that's right, Xiao Chou is going to bury the little dragon now. After all, we worked together for a while. It died very peacefully. Enlin. Why did the little dragon die? Dabai sighed. After that punch from the holy demon last night, it basically lost more breath than it took in. After that, you suddenly used a nuclear bomb. We didn't have time to move it away, so it was also caught in the blast. Enlin's lips twitched. This was called a peaceful death? However, when he signed the slave contract with the six-winged dragon emperor, there wasn't much emotion involved. He only wanted to use this dragon to find their nest. In order to prevent the demonic dragon from betraying them, he signed the slave contract. However, when he heard the news of the demonic dragon's death, a trace of sorrow welled up in his heart. Sigh. Slaying the holy demon this time was really full of twists and turns. He almost lost his life for the sake of the system cultivation method. Enlin sighed as he opened the system and looked at the cultivation method section. The Thunder Essence cultivation method had already reached the second stage. At the same time, it had also developed a unique immortal spell, Lightning Amplification Technique. Its main effect was to increase the power of lightning-type immortal spells. Enlin thought for a moment. This cultivation method might actually be useful when combined with the lightning manipulation technique. Think about it. If someone threw 100,000 volts of lightning at you, you directly threw that person's lightning back and made it 150,000 volts of lightning. How could that person not despair? I'll throw your lightning. I'll throw it back and it'll be 2 lightning bolts. With this thought, Enlin was excited again. He wanted to try it out. Soon, he came to his senses. F***ck. He was now someone who couldn't even move a finger. How could he use the lightning manipulation technique or lightning amplification technique in this state? He could probably use the divine inspection technique to roll his eyes. Enlin didn't give up. He looked at the other parts of the system. His progression path had already been refreshed. This was a major advancement, so it definitely wasn't a simple matter. Cultivation rank. Soul formation initial stage, condition. Receive the heart of the divine god, drink the divine god's elixir, eat the divine paragon fruit. Enlin had actually seen this advancement requirement once when he was in Bolan City. At that time, he was completely dumbstruck. He had no idea what the heart of the divine god, the divine god's elixir, or the divine paragon fruit were. He still didn't understand now. The divine god probably didn't mean the true god. Otherwise, this requirement would be toxic. It was probably something very high and mighty. Dabai and Xiao Chou didn't understand. He thought about asking the principal, Shi or Chang Yi when he had the time. They were all knowledgeable, so they should know. Big Brotherin, you're finally awake. A cry of joy suddenly sounded in the distance. Soon, Unlin saw an excited monkey face leaning very close to him. Unlin was a little irritated, and he tilted his head to the side before asking, Xiao Chou, how long will it take for me to walk on my own? Among everyone present, Xiao Chou was probably the only one who understood his injuries the best. He was the one who had set up the healing spell formation. The clown stroked his chin, which looked like a buttock's, and said with uncertainty, I've checked your injuries before, and your bones and flesh have basically recovered. Your meridians are still reconnecting, and your vitality is extremely depleted. You'll probably be paralyzed for another dozen or so days. Unlin heaved a sigh of relief upon hearing this. Thank God, he wasn't really crippled. He would only be paralyzed for a dozen or so days, however. He suddenly realized another problem. Most of his body was paralyzed, so what was he going to do about Xiaolongnu? School was only going to start in a dozen or so days. Unlin took a deep breath before asking, Xiao Chou, are there any more healing spirit pills in my storage ring? He couldn't even move his fingers, so he naturally couldn't use his storage ring. Xiao Chou was slightly taken aback upon hearing this. He didn't know why Unlin was asking this, so he nodded with a perplexed expression. There are still a dozen or so spirit pills. Unlin, feed them all to me. Big Brotherin, you can't do this. The effects of the immortal pills haven't worn off yet. Not only will they not work, but they might even harm your body. Xiao Chou immediately tried to dissuade Unlin. It's fine. My evergreen technique can perfectly assimilate the effects of those pills. Stop nagging and give them to me. Xiao Chou had no choice but to bring out the dozen or so spirit pills from his storage ring under Unlin's coercion. He was then greeted by the sight of Unlin swallowing a dozen or so spirit pills in one go without any hesitation. This scared the hell out of Xiao Chou. If he ate them like Unlin, he would explode and die at any moment. A green halo appeared above Unlin's head. The surging energy contained within the dozen or so spirit pills began to violently rush into every part of his body. The evergreen technique was unleashed to its maximum extent, quickly converting the effects of the spirit pills. There was a determined expression on Unlin's face as he lay on the healing spell formation. Dragon Court, here I come. Chapter 289. Dragon City was the largest city in the East Sea. It spanned thousands of kilometers and had hundreds of millions of living beings. It was located in the deep sea and was surrounded by a huge enchantment barrier that simulated the sunrise and sunset on the surface. It was now autumn, and Lin rode Dubai to this bustling city. TSK. No wonder Dragon City is the largest city in the East Sea. There are all kinds of buildings and natural scenery such as mountains, rivers, and lake. In the past, I wouldn't have believed that such a scene could exist in the deep sea. Unlin exclaimed in amazement, as if he had discovered a paradise. He could move freely now, but his body was still a little weak, and he looked like he had been working too hard. This was also Dubai's first time coming to Dragon City, and his eyes lit up. Not only that, but the girls here are also very beautiful. There are beauties from all races in the East Sea. Big Brother, and did you see that seahorse just now? That butt is twisting. TSK. Unlin, what was so interesting about a seahorse twisting its butt? When it came to appreciating the beauty of different races, Dubai was probably more professional than him. Unlin, Dubai, and Xiao Chou strolled toward the Dragon Court. The Dragon Court wasn't far from where they had entered the enchantment barrier. They should be able to get there in half a day, so they weren't in a hurry. Unlin was enjoying the local customs and culture here with great interest. At this moment, two prawns walking alongside them spoke. Hey, have you heard? The Dragon Court's 11th princess is going to be betrothed to Xia Zhe of the Divine Guardian Squad. A golden prawn said excitedly. Ha, don't lie to me. Dragon Princess rejected Xia Zhe's advances in public 2 years ago, and it caused a huge commotion in Dragon City. Why did she suddenly change her mind now? The other prawn shook its head in disbelief. I didn't lie to you. As for why she changed her mind, I heard. The golden prawn said in a low voice with a mysterious expression, Little Dragon Maiden risked her life to save a city of pearls in the Pearl Kingdom. In the end, in order to save a human cultivator, she even sacrificed her bloodline. Now, her bloodline is ruined. Otherwise, do you think the Dragon King would be willing to betroth such a promising daughter to the captain of the Divine Guardian Squad? This matter has already spread throughout the Dragon Court, and an announcement will probably be made in the next 1 or 2 days. The other prawn was stunned after hearing that. Why do you sound even more unbelievable? For the sake of a bunch of useless pearls and a human I just met, you're going to ruin your path. Is Xiaolongnu crazy? As the 2 prawns walked further and further away, Unlin slowly closed his eyes. There was a deep sense of guilt on his face. Let's go, Dubai Fly. Dragon Court, Jade Pavilion. Big Sister Bailian, are you really leaving? Inu grabbed onto Bailian's wrist with a reluctant expression on her face. She knew that Bailian's departure meant that she was cutting off all ties with the Dragon Court. With the Dragon King's personality, he wouldn't allow her to return to the Dragon Court. Bailian smiled faintly and held onto Inu's hand. I don't have a choice, do I? Father wants me to marry someone I don't like at all. I can't agree to this. Since I can't resist, I can only choose to leave. The rims of Inu's eyes turned red, and she didn't know what to say. She knew Bailian's personality very well. She was a woman of her word, and no one could force her to do anything. Humph. It's all that human cultivator's fault. What right does he have to make you pay such a price? Inu was full of grievances, but she had no one to complain to, so she pushed all the blame onto that unknown human cultivator. There was a gentle expression on Bailian's face as she looked at the little sister she doted on the most in the Dragon Court. No, I'm very glad that I saved him. You'll find out soon enough. Inu blinked her large, bright eyes and stared blankly at her big sister. Bailian didn't plan on saying anything else. She hadn't told the Dragon Court the human cultivator's name because she didn't want to create unnecessary trouble for him. However, this matter couldn't be hidden for long. After all, the story of the 2 of them had already spread throughout the Pearl Kingdom. Inu would also find out about it sooner or later. She sighed softly. Sometimes, fate was really a wonderful thing. If she hadn't saved that human cultivator wouldn't have appeared on the ancient battlefield. If the human cultivator didn't appear on the ancient battlefield, then it was very likely that Inu would have died there. In other words, saving that human cultivator's life was equivalent to saving Inu's life as well. What kind of cause, what kind of effect? It really wasn't a loss. However, who knew how Inu would feel when she found out about this? Bailian took a deep breath and stood up with a carefree expression on her face. I'm leaving. We'll meet again in the future. Inu also stood up. I'll see you off. Bailian snapped. Why are you sending me off? It's not like I'm going to do anything serious. I'm going on the run. Inu pouted with a stubborn expression. Then don't forget Little Fish in the future, big sister. Little Fish is going to train in the outside world, then I'll contact you via voice transmission talisman. Alright, I got it. Bailian patted Inu's head with a gentle expression on her exquisite face. Take good care of yourself. Big sister, you take care too. Inu nodded as she stared at the beautiful figure in front of her. That beautiful figure turned into a streak of rainbow light and flew out of the jadeite pavilion, fleeing into the distance. Bailian left quietly, leaving her former home. Out of so many brothers and sisters, she only bid farewell to her little sister, Inu. At the end of the day, apart from Inu, there was nothing else in the Dragon Court that was worthy of her nostalgia. Right now, she just wanted to find a good place to live the rest of her life in peace. Where should I go? A perplexed expression appeared on Bailien's cold face. Right at this moment, the voice transmission talisman in her pocket suddenly flashed. This aura is... She faltered as she took out the voice transmission talisman. Why is it him? Why is he contacting me? That's right, he said he was coming to the Dragon Court as a guest, so he should be looking for little fish. Bailien hesitated for a moment before picking up the voice transmission talisman. Mr. Unlin? It's me, Mr. Bailien. I've come to Dragon City. Are you in the Dragon Court? I'll go find you. There's no need, I've already left the Dragon Court. Let's meet again if fate allows it. What fate? Where are you? I'll come find you immediately. Unlin's tone became a little urgent. Bailien didn't reply because she saw a figure riding a dog toward her while she was flying. The man riding the dog was also clearly dazed. In the end, he chuckled. Hee, that's a good use of the phrase, let's meet again if fate allows it. It looks like we're quite fated. The person who had just arrived was none other than Unlin, and he was clearly also very surprised. Bailien sighed lightly in her heart, but her voice remained cold. Do you need something from me? Yes. Unlin nodded with a hint of guilt and sincerity. I'm sorry I came late and made you suffer so much. Bailien was a little confused. What do you mean by coming late and suffering? Are you here to apologize? Unlin shook his head. No, I'm here to repay a debt of gratitude. Repay a debt of gratitude? Bailien didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Just as she was about to refuse, Unlin's next sentence caused her to be rooted to the spot. I'm here to help you refine and activate your bloodline. Gathering materials takes up too much time. I heard about what happened to you, but I didn't think something like this would happen. If I knew something like this would happen, I would have told you in advance. I'm sorry. Bailien had yet to come to her senses, and Unlin's words reverberated in her mind. Refine and activate my bloodline? Chapter 290. But isn't my bloodline already crippled? Even my father can't do anything about it. Do you really have a way to purify and activate it? Bailien's eyes widened with incredulity. Unlin nodded with a serious expression. Your father can't activate it, but that doesn't mean others can't. This is a method I obtained from Senior Shenine, and I guarantee it will work. Senior Shenine. Are you talking about the heavenly dragon goddess of the dragon tribe? Bailien's mouth gaped open as if she had heard something extremely shocking. Shen-Yin was the senior with the highest chance of successfully progressing to the Dao integration stage in the past 10,000 years. If she had chosen the true Dragon Dao, she would have most likely succeeded a long time ago. Her experiences had made her a legendary figure in the Dragon Court, and she was Bailien's idol. How could Bailien maintain her composure now that Unlin was claiming that she was the one who had devised this method? That's her. Unlin nodded with certainty. I discovered this method through a fortuitous encounter. Let's go somewhere else to talk. Unlin flew off on his dog's back as he spoke. Bailien followed behind him in a daze, as if she was still digesting this information. They arrived at a secluded mountain. This place was extremely tranquil, with only the occasional chirping of birds and insects. This is a good place to do things in secret. Unlin nodded with satisfaction as he surveyed the surroundings. Bailien. Big brother, and there's nothing wrong with the basic meaning, but why does it sound so perverted when it comes out of your mouth? Woof. Dabai heaved a forlorn sigh. Bam. Dabai received another punch to the head. Anyone can say that, but you can't. How dare a perverted dog comment on me? Unlin snapped. Woof. A crooked stick will have a crooked shadow. Like master, like dog. Dabai retorted. Unlin's chest constricted upon hearing this. F***ck. Dabai's words were like self-inflicted wounds. A faint smile appeared on Bailien's face as she watched the two of them play around. She slowly recovered from Unlin's words. Although she was very excited, she was not in a hurry to speak. She only stared at the man in front of her with a pair of beautiful eyes filled with anticipation. Unlin realized that Bailian had been staring at him this entire time, and he couldn't help but blush. He coughed lightly and said, "Stop fooling around, let's get down to business." As he spoke, he began to fish out one item after another from his storage ring. "This is the 1,000-year moon sinking wood I got from the Green Island. This is the ancient purple vine and the true blood of the winged dragon that I found in the ancient battlefield of the Dragon Court. The dark ice crystal from the heavenly frost island, the desolate fire bone from the soaring snake volcano, the divine white herb from the venerate Devil Island." Bailian silently stared at the items that Unlin had taken out from his storage ring. These items all contained extremely powerful energy fluctuations, and just a single glance was enough to tell that they were all extraordinary items. In particular, when she saw the ancient purple vine and the true blood of the winged dragon, her heart trembled violently. She had heard the names of these two items from Inu. Wasn't the reason why Unlin had ventured into the ancient battlefield so that he could obtain these two items? So that's why. So Unlin had ventured into the ancient battlefield to collect these two items in order to resolve the issue of her bloodline. These are the items. Later, I will set up a bloodline purification spell formation with Xiao Chou. You don't need to do anything else other than meditate at the center of the spell formation and circulate your true dragon mantra. Unlin was clearly much more serious now that he was talking about business. The spell formation was extremely complex. After all, this was not an ordinary spell formation, and it required an extremely large amount of energy. Not only did it require the activation of the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, but it also required the support of 100,000 spirit stones. Just setting up this spell formation took 2 hours. Immediately after that, it was time to activate the spell formation. Unlin and Xiao Chou were the main operators of the spell formation. They stood on opposite ends of the spell formation and injected their vital energy into the spell formation to guide the energy. The spell formation was activated, and the projection of an ancient golden dragon appeared between heaven and earth with boundless majesty. The essence of all the materials was drawn upon by the spell formation and transformed into thin streams that flowed into Bailian's body, cleansing her bloodline that had become unbearably mottled. It was very easy to completely destroy something, but it was many times more difficult to restore something that had been destroyed. It was like smashing a priceless piece of porcelain and restoring a broken piece of porcelain to its original state. The two were on completely different levels of difficulty. The first step now was to purify Bailian's bloodline and remove the impurities. This step was equivalent to piecing together a broken piece of porcelain according to its original appearance. The second step was to reactivate the bloodline that had already died. This was a process from death to life. It was equivalent to piecing together the broken pieces and combining them together to form the original piece of porcelain. This was a miraculous step. Before they knew it, they had already reached the second step. The spell formation began to spin more violently as the spiritual energy of heaven and earth and spirit stones quickly flowed into the spell formation, causing the projection of the golden dragon to become more and more substantial. All of the materials quickly withered, and their energy was absorbed by the golden dragon before being injected into Bailian's body. A withered tree was given a new lease on life. After what seemed like an eternity, a joyous dragon's roar reverberated throughout heaven and earth. It was as if it was saying, "I, the Dragon Princess, have returned." That's right, the cold and confident Dragon Princess had returned. Bailian stood up straight and sensed the surging life force within her bloodline. This life force was even more powerful than before she had sacrificed her bloodline. Unlin was completely exhausted and lay on the ground with sweat pouring down his face. He swallowed an energy-replenishing spirit pill. His body hadn't fully recovered in the first place, and after such a torment, he really felt like he couldn't stand up anymore. "Haha, see, the Dragon Princess, you were right to trust me. I've succeeded, haven't I?" Unlin chuckled triumphantly. To be honest, He wasn't very confident before he started the spell formation. After all, he had the theoretical knowledge, but he hadn't tried it out yet. Who knew what would go wrong along the way? But after Enlin heard that dragon's roar, he knew he had succeeded. Balian stared at Enlin with a complex expression. She had sacrificed her bloodline to save Enlin's life. She didn't think too much about it at the time, nor did she expect that Enlin would return a dozen or so days later with the materials that could reactivate her bloodline and give her a new lease on life. "Thank you." Balian didn't know what to say and only managed to utter these two words after thinking for a long time. Enlin waved his hands with a smile. "No need to thank me. If it weren't for you, I would have died in Bolan City. This is to repay you for saving my life. Also, my life is more valuable than yours, so it won't be so easy to repay this debt. I don't think I have anything to give you right now, but one day I'll make a meteoric rise and my name will resound throughout the entire continent. When that time comes, I'll protect you." Balian pursed her lips into a smile. "All right, then I'll have to hug you tightly." Enlin nodded with a matter-of-fact expression. "Then what do you plan to do next?" Balian naturally knew what Enlin was asking. Now that she had recovered the power of her bloodline, she could regain her status in the Dragon Court at any time if she wanted to. But did she really have to go back? A friend in need was a friend indeed. When everyone learned that her bloodline had been crippled and her cultivation base had stagnated, all of her seemingly friendly siblings, with the exception of Inu, became extremely cold and indifferent. There wasn't even a single hypocritical expression of concern for her. Her father even ignored her wishes and forcefully betrothed her to Xiaozhe. Even though she knew that her family's personalities were like this, when it really happened to her, she was still bitterly disappointed. Was this kind of heartless family, a family that was only supported by a bloodline from a different mother, really worth cherishing? "I don't want to go back." Balian took a deep breath and smiled. After leaving the Dragon Court, she would lose all of her cultivation resources, cultivation methods, pills, spirit stones, materials, everything. She would become an itinerant cultivator, and she would have to fight for everything on her own, but for some reason she just didn't want to go back. Enlin could understand her decision. What F** King era was this? How could arranged marriages still be popular in the cultivation world? Just this alone made him dislike the Dragon Court. Wasn't this illegal? "Enlin, remember to pass on a message to Inu when you go to the Dragon Court. Tell her that my bloodline has already recovered, and I'm going to travel the continent for a few years. Tell her not to worry, and tell her to keep this a secret for me." You're not going to tell her yourself? That's enough. Emotions are easily expended. We've already bid farewell once, what a waste of emotions if we have to do it again. You've left me speechless. Then, Enlin, we'll meet again if fate wills it. Goodbye, Dragon Princess. Balian looked at Enlin with a gentle expression, as if she had a million words to say. But in the end, she only smiled like a spring breeze, waved her hand, and flew away. From then on, there was one more person in the corner of her heart, and he was labeled as someone she liked. Chapter 291. After watching Little Dragon Maiden leave, Enlin and the others made their way back to the Dragon Court. In reality, his purpose in coming to the Dragon Court was to repurify and activate Little Dragon Maiden's bloodline. As for going to the Dragon Court to read books, that was just a side benefit. But now, he had another mission to deliver information. Enlin arrived at the main gate of the Dragon Court and was astonished by the exquisitely beautiful pavilions within. Extravagant, this was way too extravagant. Every pavilion was like a work of art. Their designs were pleasing to the eye, and the landscaping plants were all types of rare spirit plants. Even the paths were paved with spirit jade. What a blatant display of wealth! Enlin stood at the entrance and shook his head with a sigh. He really wanted to move all the bricks on the ground of the Dragon Court. Now that he thought about it, it wasn't impossible to get rich by moving bricks. And Lin pulled out his voice transmission talisman and quickly connected to someone. "Hello, Mr. Inu, I'm at your doorstep." "Ah. Wait a moment, I'll be right there." Inu's excited voice sounded from the voice transmission talisman. Soon, a live and graceful young woman in white appeared before Lin. She was sitting on a giant turtle that could fly. There was a faint smile on her face, and she seemed to be a little melancholy. "I've been waiting for you for a long time. Let's go, I'll show you around the dragon court." Inu gestured for Lin to sit on the turtle. Lin had never sat on a creature like this before, so he was a little interested and jumped onto the turtle's shell. He then became a little worried. "With me, Dabai, and Xiao Qiao's weight on top of this turtle, will it still be able to fly?" At this moment, an unhurried voice sounded. "I can even carry a mountain on my back, let alone you little brats. Heh, you can talk." Lin's eyes lit up. The old turtle rolled its eyes and expressed its disdain in an extremely vivid manner. Lin didn't say anything else and swam around the dragon court with Inu. The dragon court was huge, and there were many interesting sights. Inu acted as a tour guide, talking nonstop about the special features of the landscape, such as the Pearl Mountain, the Azure Dragon Forest, the Jade Lake, the Immortal Brew Spring, the 10 Miles Coral Sea, and so on. They were all marvelous sceneries, and Lin's horizons were greatly broadened. During this period, he even saw the 7th Prince Aoyun, who was a middle-aged man with an elegant demeanor. When Aoyun found out that Lin was Inu's friend, he didn't ask much. He only exchanged a few polite words with Lin before leaving, giving off a natural and friendly feeling. "Don't be fooled by their smiling faces. They're actually all drama queens," Inu said coldly, curling her lips. Lin was taken aback. "Is that how you talk about your big brother?" Originally, Inu wouldn't have had this kind of attitude. However, after experiencing the incident with Bailian in the ancient battlefield, she had completely understood the relationship between these so-called siblings. As such, she no longer held any expectations. "It's all your fault," Inu said hatefully. Lin was dazed upon hearing this. He didn't know what this girl was up to this time. "It's also my father's fault. He had so many children. Is he raising pigs or dragons?" Inu continued hatefully. "Lin, 13th Princess, please be careful with your words," the old turtle suddenly said. "Humph." For some reason, Inu thought of Bailian, and her eyes reddened. She had already lost all interest in playing. Seeing this, Lin hurriedly said, "Ms. Inu, why don't we find a place to read for a while?" "All right." Inu nodded. Soon, she brought Lin to the pavilion she lived in. Seeing that there was no one around, Lin said in a low voice, "I'll tell you a secret. Don't tell anyone." Inu had only just come out with a book in her hands when she blinked her large, bright eyes at Lin. She was a bit dazed. Why did Lin suddenly have a secret to tell her? After a few seconds, she nodded hesitantly. "The person Ms. Bailian saved in Bolan City was me. Her bloodline has already been purified and reactivated with my help. However, she's decided to travel the continent for a few years. I hope you won't tell anyone about the secret of her recovering the power of her bloodline." Inu was dumbstruck. She stared blankly at Lin as she digested his words. Lin was that mysterious human cultivator that she cursed 10 times a day? Big Sister Bailian's bloodline could be purified and reactivated? She succeeded with Lin's help? After recovering her bloodline, Big Sister Bailian still chose to travel the continent by herself? This was a bit too much information. She needed some time to digest it. Inu took out her voice transmission talisman to contact Big Sister Bailian. Big Sister Bailian didn't pick up, but she left a message. Lin is right. I won't be returning to the Dragon Court for now. Take care of yourself, Big Sister Inu. It was clear that Bailian knew that Inu would send her a voice transmission talisman, so she left a message in advance. Say, how could it be such a coincidence? Inu's crisp and pleasant voice sounded again. There was a look of astonishment on her face as she stared unblinkingly at Anlin. Anlin shrugged. Fate is something that can't be said for sure. In any case, I've already delivered the message. Your big sister is fine, so don't worry. Inu nodded, and a vibrant smile finally appeared on her face. Here, this is the book on quantum theory compiled by the high priest of our tribe. Take a look and ask me if there's anything you don't understand. She handed the book to Anlin. Anlin didn't refuse. He took the book and sat down on a chair before beginning to study it. The language of this book was still the Tai Chu characters, so he didn't seem to have any difficulty reading it. His foundation in physics was actually quite mediocre, but he was actually able to understand this book. This was because this was a completely different concept from the quantum theory on Earth. The study of quantum states also went from shallow to deep, and the parameters involved even included the laws of time, space, vital energy, cause and effect, etc. However, the content of the book didn't form a complete systematic theory. Most of it was just a general analysis and conjecture of certain phenomena, including some classical experiments. There was a very interesting study in which a certain dragon tribe scientist used a spatial artifact to transport an evil spirit from an ancient battlefield. After placing it in the outside world, they discovered that the quantum state of the evil spirit had become extremely unstable. Very quickly, the evil spirit died on its own, and even its body completely dissipated. The dragon tribe researchers hypothesized that the power that caused the evil spirit to disappear originated from a factor called emotional attachment. They hypothesized that the evil spirit also had emotions. The evil spirit was a type of spiritual resentment that was related to the living beings that had died on the battlefield. They would become attached to the place where they died and were born. Once they left that place, their emotions would become extremely unstable, and this would affect the instability of their quantum state. In the end, they would self-destruct. And Lin agreed with this point. For some reason, he couldn't help but think of evil demons, and he felt that the two seemed to have some similarities. He read very quickly, mainly because his cultivation base was higher, and his mind was also more agile. His memory and comprehension abilities had also improved, and he could also use some immortal spells to engrave everything he read into his mind. He finished reading this book in less than half a day. Phew! This trip wasn't a bad one. Anlin closed the book with a smile on his face. Inu sat in another chair and rested her chin on her hands. She giggled. What else do you want to read? I still have the study of bloodline fusion, racial biology, cause and effect analysis, spatial manipulation. Anlin felt a headache coming on as he listened to Inu's long list of subjects. No way. I'm only interested in ghosts and monsters, which is why I'm looking for a book to read. It wasn't easy for me to become an immortal and get rid of the problems of all these subjects. He thought about it for a moment before sighing. But I didn't think that the Dragon Court would be researching so many things. Inu looked at him with a smile and said, What I've said is just some superficial knowledge. More in-depth theories and research experiments seem to be planning to mass-produce some genetic warriors in the research institute that the High Priest is in charge of. Anlin's eyes lit up. He's so powerful, and he's a genetic warrior? Inu waved a delicate hand. They're all leftovers from the Purple Star civilization. We're just picking them up and copying them. The Dragon Court has been beaten to a pulp, so they're trying to learn from others. Pfft. You're even using a quote from Earth. I like to read. There's a senior from the Dragon Tribe who used to be a student at Xiaoxian United University. He went to Earth and brought back a bunch of books. I've read all of them. Impressive. Anlin felt like Inu's personality was quite good. She was sincere and easygoing, so it was quite easy to get along with her. He was quite happy to make friends with her. There were only a few days left until the start of the new semester, so he decided to leave the Dragon Court after dinner. Inu bade farewell to Anlin with a smile. Unlin, I'll come to the Celestial Court to look for you when I have time. Alright, let's keep in touch via voice transmission talisman. Just like that, the meeting between the two of them ended peacefully. No one caused any trouble, and there were no unexpected incidents. As for the Dragon King's rage after learning that Balian had left, that had nothing to do with him. Chapter 292. This was a fulfilling holiday, and Enlin once again witnessed the diversity of the world. Look at how beautiful Xiaolongnu is. How beautiful Princess Yin is. How beautiful Chi-Chi is. The world is still a beautiful place. Enlin rode on Dubai and sang happily as he returned to school. The familiar campus, the familiar environment, and the familiar people. In the third-year Jade Water District, an unlucky person walked toward him. Hey! Enlin, long time no see. A man with skin as dark as charcoal and red lips, with only white eyes walked over and greeted him enthusiastically. Enlin grimaced and sized up the man in front of him. After a long while, he finally said, Lu de Bao, did you King go sunbathing again? Lu de Bao was excited and shook hands with him. Enlin, you're the first person I've greeted so many times to recognize me. I recognized you from your voice, Enlin said solemnly. Lu de Bao. This was Enlin's truth. Lu de Bao was now so dark that even his facial features were indistinguishable. Recognize me from my face? What a joke. Perhaps it was because he had suffered many blows, but Lu de Bao quickly regained his composure. He still had a smile on his face as he said, Don't look down on this brother's dark skin. I absorbed the essence of the sun on Sun Island in the East China Sea during the holiday, and I've already achieved initial success in my divine sun technique. Even my rank has broken through to the 8th stage Tao body. Lu de Bao used 2 years to break through from the 4th stage Tao body to the 8th stage. From a speed perspective, this was already very shocking. Congratulations, congratulations! Enlin was sincerely happy for Lu de Bao. You were also in the East China Sea during the holiday. What a coincidence, I also went to the East China Sea during the holiday. Lu de Bao's eyes lit up. What did you play? Did you see the mysterious mermaid? Or was it the high and mighty sea goddess? Did you go to the Short Horse Tooth Empire or the Water Sun Empire? The girls there are really good. Enlin was embarrassed. So these are the fun places in Donghai? He had never been to any of them. I mainly play around in the Pearl Kingdom and on the surrounding islands, Enlin replied with an honest expression. Near the Pearl Empire? That place is very close to the 7 devilish regions. There are the infamous 7 great demonic emperors of the East Sea. It's not very safe to go there. You might run into trouble, Lu de Bao said solemnly. Enlin nodded and grumbled. That's right, it sure was a lot of trouble. I finally managed to kill 6 sea spirit emperors, only to have King Holy Demon pop out of nowhere. How troublesome, I almost died. When Lu de Bao heard this, he almost couldn't breathe. Oh my God! You killed 6 of the 7 demonic thearchs. That's right. One of them joined me, but it died a heroic death in the final battle against the Saint Devil. A hint of pity appeared on Enlin's face as he shook his head. Lu de Bao was dumbstruck. Killed 6 demonic thearchs? He even made a demonic thearch join his side? And that great war of saints and demons, whose name sounds awesome. F***CK. What kind of King holiday was this? You even swept through the 7 devilish regions. Lu de Bao's lips twitched as he looked at Enlin. He didn't know what to say. The gap between their holidays was too big. While he was sunbathing, Enlin had already gone off to save the world. Classmate Enlin really has the heart of the continent at heart. You don't forget to exterminate evil and do good even when you're on holiday. Lu de Bao finally spoke after a long while. Hee, it's just a small matter. It's not worth mentioning. Enlin smiled and waved his hand humbly. Lu de Bao was about to vomit blood. If it's not worth mentioning, don't King say it out loud. Why did he look so happy and smug? He definitely did it on purpose. DeBeo, I'm not bragging to you, but this time, I didn't just go to the East Sea to fight all kinds of sea monsters. I also had a beautiful encounter. Do you know about Xiaolongnu? Do you know about Princess Inu from the Dragon Court? It's okay if you don't know, I'll tell you slowly. Lu DeBeo's charcoal face darkened even more. It was a bright and sunny day, but why did he feel a little suffocated? He had been listening to Enlin brag for most of the day. After Enlin was satisfied, he bade farewell to Lu DeBeo and walked toward his own room. Unexpectedly, he had only walked halfway when a handsome man with an extraordinary temperament and elegant white clothes walked towards him. The man still had a warm smile on his face. He was clearly in a good mood. Classmate Enlin. Long time no see. A warm voice sounded from the man's mouth. Haha, big brother Ching. Congratulations on coming out of seclusion. Enlin also greeted him with a joyful expression. One had to realize that Big Brother Ching had appeared before him now, which meant that Big Brother Ching had already broken through to Spirit Nurturing Final Stage. This was truly worthy of celebration. Xianyuan Ching chuckled and shook his head. There's nothing worth celebrating about that. I've been slacking off in my cultivation anyway, so I decided to work hard and catch up to them. He then encouraged, Enlin, work hard. Perhaps you'll be able to break through to Spirit Nurturing Intermediate Stage very soon. Enlin scratched his head. Well, I actually broke through to Spirit Nurturing Intermediate Stage during the holidays. Xianyuan Ching was slightly dazed upon hearing this. Classmate Enlin is so awesome. I believe that you'll be able to break through to Spirit Nurturing Final Stage soon. I'm actually already at Spirit Nurturing Final Stage now. Enlin smiled sheepishly. Xianyuan Cheng was dumbstruck. Well, I had some miraculous encounters during the holidays, so I broke through to Spirit Nurturing Final Stage, Enlin explained earnestly. Xianyuan Cheng's face convulsed upon hearing this, and he drew a sharp intake of breath. Holy F***CK. What kind of miraculous encounter could allow someone to break through to Spirit Nurturing Final Stage in less than a month? He had gone into seclusion for an entire holiday, and only then did he break through from the pinnacle of Spirit Nurturing Intermediate Stage to Spirit Nurturing Final Stage. Enlin only used one holiday to progress from Spirit Nurturing Initial Stage to Spirit Nurturing Final Stage? Both of them had true God letters of recommendation, so why was there such a huge disparity between them? Then, Xianyuan Qing suddenly thought of something else. He had entered Spirit Nurturing Initial Stage when he first entered Spirit Nurturing Final Stage, and after 2 years of hard work, he had finally progressed to Spirit Nurturing Final Stage. Enlin had entered Spirit Nurturing Final Stage, and after 2 years of hard work, he had finally progressed to Spirit Nurturing Final Stage. Xianyuan Qing fell silent. For the first time, he felt like his cultivation aptitude was a pile of dog sh*t. Why did he have to be so complacent? Why did he feel like he was a prodigy? Why did he have to be so happy that he had progressed to Spirit Nurturing Final Stage? Big Brother Qing, what's wrong? Your eyes are red. Enlin was given a fright. Really? Maybe it's because the sandstorm is too strong, and it got into my eyes. Xianyuan Qing rubbed his eyes. Enlin, what a cliché excuse. The people on Earth don't even know how to use it anymore. Then, as if he had figured something out, Xianyuan Qing's eyes suddenly lit up, and his grief and self-blame were all swept away. That's right. Why do I have to compare myself to a freak like him? Classmate Enlin is a freak who could slay mighty figures at the Return to Void Pinnacle stage even though he's only at the Tao Body stage. Isn't comparing myself to someone like him just asking for trouble? Xianyuan Qing smiled warmly at Enlin and patted his shoulder. Classmate Enlin, congratulations! Your cultivation base has improved greatly. Lin was given quite a fright by Xian Yuan Cheng's sudden change in expression. Why is Big Brother Cheng so fickle? However, he was still quite happy to brag to Big Brother Cheng about his experiences in the East Sea. However, what puzzled Lin was that Big Brother Cheng's expression remained indifferent no matter how he talked about slaying an emperor-level sea monster or blowing up a holy demon. It was as if this was how it was supposed to be. Lin was quite disappointed. What the F***ck, this is my Hall of Fame achievement. Can't you at least give me a look of surprise? Complimenting Lin with classmate Lin, how are you so strong, was fine too. In the end, Lin bade farewell to Xian Yuan Cheng in disappointment. There was no point in bragging to Big Brother Cheng. Chapter 293. After bidding farewell to Xian Yuan Cheng, Lin walked toward the dorm with a perplexed expression. He was now the most famous person in the school, and students often came to greet him. It was a pretty good feeling, especially when he was riding on the by and greeting other students. He always felt like he was a leader inspecting the work of the school. Lin encountered Su Qianyun, who was also taking a leisurely stroll on the way. Hey, classmate Su Qianyun, how was your holiday? Same old, I spent some time with big sister Chang Yi, then went back to the Imperial Palace to rest for a while. Oh, that's not bad. Let me tell you, I'm spirit nurturing final stage now. My god. Classmate Lin is so awesome. Hee hee, you're too kind. After bragging for a while, he was in a good mood and saw a girl with short pink hair sitting on a jade bench. Hey, Senior Lu Qianhuan, how was your holiday? I was bored to death. No one played games with me. You should have gone to Earth for your holiday. Sigh, don't even mention it. I didn't get a spot. I've even been blacklisted by the school for descending to the mortal world. It's because I led a small team of people to participate in a game competition and delayed something important. The relevant departments in the mortal world reported me to the heavenly court. Serves you right. By the way, you've been at the half-step soul formation stage for so long, have you broken through yet? Just a little bit more. Why so slow? Let me tell you, I'm spirit nurturing final stage now. Why? Holy F***ck, aren't you surprised? Should I be surprised? You can't beat me in League of Valor anyway. Lin patted Dabai's bum and continued forward until he saw a green figure in front of him. Hey Xiaolan, how was your holiday? Littlin, I was going to ask you if you still have the consciousness of a master. Why did you leave Xiao Hong with me? Do you know what it feels like when I go to sleep at the Vermilion Bird sect and suddenly hear the song of a giant windmill in my bosom? Oh sorry, I forgot. Speaking of which, where is Little Red now? Humph, she's in a flower pot in my attic. I don't even need to set the alarm in the morning. I'll just listen to her singing the windmill. Ahem. Calm down. How's your assimilation of Xin Yin's inheritance? There's basically no problem. After I absorbed the thunder energy of the Black Thunder Dragon Ball, the dragon and phoenix bloodlines went from suppressing each other to fusing with each other. The other inheritances are also gradually integrating, and I'm almost at the stage of comprehending my personal domain. Wow. Your cultivation speed is simply unfathomable. It's all thanks to you. If there's another treasure hunt next time, don't forget to call me. We'll see. Xiaolan, I actually have something to tell you. I'm already at spirit nurturing final stage. Oh, did you eat something weird this time, or was you hit by some weird method to break through? Xiaolan, am I such a person in your eyes? Yes. Lin suddenly felt very depressed. Why was flexing so difficult now that his cultivation base had advanced by leaps and bounds? Shouldn't everyone draw a sharp intake of breath, then marvel at his exceptional aptitude, then worship him to the extreme? But among so many people, only classmate Su Qianyun seemed to have such a reaction. Why was that? Lin pondered seriously, trying to find the root of the problem. After all, without flexing, cultivation would become dull and boring. At this moment, a well-built man walked toward them. Yo, Luo Zipping, how was your holiday? Haha, big brother, and I was just about to tell you the good news. I broke through to spirit nurturing stage. Congratulations! You're the sixth student in our class to break through to spirit nurturing stage, right? Not only that, I heard Sun Xinglian and Miao Tian have also broken through to spirit nurturing stage. It's all thanks to the Purple Star bloodline inheritance. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to break through so quickly. Tisk tsk, this is great news. Our original team is invincible. Actually, your team leader is doing very well too. He's already at spirit nurturing final stage. Haha, big brother and is obviously awesome. I wouldn't be surprised if you told me you're already at soul formation stage. Can't you be surprised for a moment, shocked for a moment? Huh? Why would I be shocked? After bidding farewell to Luo Zipping, Unlin became even more depressed. I'm a man who broke through from spirit nurturing initial stage to spirit nurturing final stage in a month. Can't you guys give me some reaction? Dubai, why is it so difficult for me to flex with my cultivation base? Hee big brotherin, you've already flexed in the mortal world, there's no hope for you anymore, woof. Unlin slapped his forehead and heaved a resigned sigh. So be it, it was a new year, he shouldn't think too much about it. I'm going to cultivate hard and improve every day. Unlin pulled himself together and invited Xiao Hong back to their team together with Dubai, all of whom expressed their apologies. Xiao Hong didn't feel any resentment toward her master and underlings for forgetting her. Instead, she was quite content. After all, photosynthesis was the same no matter where she was. She was photosynthesizing every day beside Su Xiaolan, and she was photosynthesizing every day beside Enlin. Was there a difference? There was no difference. Xiao Hong, do you know, I'm already at spirit nurturing final stage. Wow, master is so awesome. Do you know how to sing Twinkle, 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 Little Star? Huh? You don't? Then I'll teach you. A sweet singing voice sounded. Twinkle, 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 the sky is full of little stars, hanging in the sky and shining like many little eyes. Tears streamed down Enlin's face. Were there no normal people around him? Why was flexing so difficult? The adorable and ignorant juniors once again came to school. Soon, they also heard about the legendary figure of the school, Senior Enlin. He was a supremely powerful man who could tear a monarch apart with his bare hands and shatter the heavens with a single finger. He was the school's legend, the pride of the school. No matter how ridiculous things were, they wouldn't be surprised if they happened to him. The juniors were all dumbstruck when they heard about these feat. Wow, Senior Enlin is so awesome, I really want to see him. I heard that he only spent one holiday to break through from spirit nurturing initial stage to spirit nurturing final stage. Isn't that normal? He could thrash a monarch at the return to void pinnacle stage with just his Tao body stage. What's so strange about him breaking through two small stages in one holiday? That makes sense. I'm making a fuss out of nothing. Just like that, the juniors were bombarded with all sorts of glorious feats by Senior Enlin as soon as they entered the school, and all of them developed extremely strong antibodies to him. Thus, Enlin's flexing path became even more distant and distant. His third-year university life also began in a peaceful and tranquil atmosphere. Chapter 294. The cultivation life of the third year began to go on the right track. Time passed slowly and peacefully. Enlin had already consolidated his cultivation base, and was progressing toward a higher level. The next step was to attain a domain, but he didn't know what kind of domain he would attain. However, as a sword immortal, it would be best if Enlin could attain a domain of tens of thousands of swords or a domain of sword intent. That would be more fitting for his status. In order to attain a domain, he had watched the sunrise and sunset, sat silently under the starry sky, listened to the waves in the forest, and danced under a waterfall. He had done all sorts of cool things. However, there was still no effect. Xiao Chou, do you think my method of attaining domain is wrong? Why is it that there's no effect even after so many days? Anlin was a little dejected. Xiao Chou scratched the fur on his head. You can't say that it's the wrong method. In order to attain a domain, one has to be in harmony with the environment around them. A place that's more conducive to attaining a domain is more beneficial to attaining one's domain. Attaining a domain isn't an easy task either. On the contrary, it's a huge dividing line. There are many cultivators of the spirit-nurturing final stage who can't attain a domain their entire lives, so don't be too impatient, big brother. And Anlin shuddered upon hearing this. If his aptitude wasn't up to par and it took him a few decades to attain a domain, he would cry himself to death. Oh no, I can't take this risk. I'll just have to ask the system for help. Within the pill refinement room of the Do Shui Palace, the chubby man saw his idol again. Mr. Anlin, what pill are you here for this time? Ishi's eyes lit up as he asked excitedly. I have a few questions that I'd like to ask you, Anlin replied sheepishly. Ishi the Enlightened was the eldest disciple of Lord Taishang. He was very knowledgeable and a first-rate pill refinement master, so it should be no problem to ask him for guidance. You're welcome. Tell me, what questions have you encountered? Ishi had met Anlin a few times before, and he wanted to build a good relationship with this pill-consuming mighty figure as well, so he was quite enthusiastic about this matter. Anlin thought about it for a moment before revealing the ingredients required to progress to the soul formation stage. Senior Ishi, have you heard of the heart of the Divine God, the Divine God's elixir, and the Divine Paragon fruit? Ishi's eyes widened upon hearing this, and he drew a sharp intake of breath. Why are you asking about these three things? I want to collect them. They are useful. Holy **T. Collect them? Why are you using these things? What's wrong? Can't I? Anlin blinked in confusion. He didn't understand why Ishi was reacting so strongly. It's not a matter of whether or not you can do it. Ishi massaged his brows and looked at Anlin with a solemn expression. It's just that these three items are too high level. Why do you want to come into contact with them? Take the Divine Paragon fruit for example. Aren't spirit and immortal grade spirit pills usually categorized into spirit and immortal grade? Anlin nodded. I'm aware of that. Spirit and immortal grade spirit pills are categorized from 9 grades to 1, with the first grade being the highest. Ishi looked at Anlin with a solemn expression. Then do you know that there's another grade above immortal grade? Anlin faltered slightly upon hearing this, and a speculation surfaced in his mind as his lips twitched. It can't be divine grade, can it? That's right, it's divine grade. The Divine Paragon fruit you want is a divine grade fruit. A curious expression appeared on Ishi's face as he continued. So, what do you want a fruit of this grade for? Holy **CK. Anlin couldn't help but swear. An ultimate creation pill already cost me over 10 million spirit stones, so wouldn't a divine paragon fruit bankrupt me? He suddenly sensed the system's malicious intent. Eat a divine paragon fruit? How could a poor C**T like him afford it? That's not necessarily the case. There's a difference between a divine fruit and an immortal pill. After all, an ultimate creation pill, which is comparable to a first-grade immortal pill, requires many high-grade immortal-grade ingredients to refine, so it's naturally more expensive. A divine fruit isn't that expensive, it's just that there's no market for it. Ishi glanced at Anlin. The divine paragon fruit is a divine fruit blessed by the heavens and possesses sentience. Not only can it move freely from birth, but it can also speak some simple languages, just like a high-grade intelligent life form. It's so precious that even a true god wouldn't be willing to sell it to others, so how would you be able to obtain it? That's why I'm so surprised that you want to collect these things. This is an impossible mission. Don't even think about it. Anlin was a little dazed upon hearing this. For some reason, he suddenly thought of something strange. After a moment of hesitation, He pulled out the golden ginseng from his storage ring and placed it on the ground. This was a golden ginseng that was half the size of a grown man with a small flower on its head. It opened its bright eyes as soon as it appeared. "Papa!" It let loose an excited yell as it latched onto Enlin's leg. "Go away! Aren't your papa's Gundam 1 and Gundam 2? Enlin was a little dumbstruck as he shook off the golden ginseng's arms. The golden ginseng stumbled back a few steps and pouted with an aggrieved expression. It looked up at the round Ishi and let loose a cry as it hugged Ishi's leg. "Mama! Papa is bullying me! Holy F***ck! I'm not your mother! No, holy F***ck! What the F***ck is this thing?" Ishi was given a fright. What the hell was this golden ginseng that could run and yell? And it was calling him Papa and Mama? Were he and Enlin husband and wife? He gave birth to a ginseng? This divine energy fluctuation, this rich aura of life, this ginseng. After a moment of panic, Ishi's eyes widened as if he had seen something inconceivable. He stood rooted to the spot for a moment before yelling again, "Holy F***ck! Isn't this the divine reincarnation ginseng?" Enlin calmed himself down and was a little perplexed by Ishi's expression. "You also recognize the first-grade immortal reincarnation ginseng?" "What first-grade immortal?" Ishi asked excitedly. "This is a divine paragon fruit. It's already evolved." Enlin blinked and a smile of surprise appeared on his face. It really is a divine paragon fruit. I'm quite lucky." When he heard Ishi describe the divine paragon fruit, he felt that this ginseng was a little similar to the divine paragon fruit. They could both move freely and speak a simple language like highly intelligent creatures. Who would have thought that it really was a divine paragon fruit? "I'm not just lucky, I'm super lucky. This is a treasure that can only be found by chance." Ishi's body was trembling with excitement as he stared at the golden ginseng hugging his leg with a crystalline liquid dripping from the corner of his mouth. Enlin was so frightened by this that he immediately stowed the ginseng into his storage ring. A blush appeared on Ishi's face. "I take back what I just said. I didn't think that you really would have a divine paragon fruit." Enlin was a little smug. He didn't think that he would be 1/3 of the way to the soul formation stage. This was like giving him a pillow when he was sleepy. After that, he couldn't help but become curious about the other two items. "Senior Ishi, can you tell me what the heart of the Divine God and the Divine God's elixir are now?" Ishi looked deeply into Enlin's eyes before replying in a slow voice. "The heart of the Divine God is a type of inherited divine-level mental manifestation. It can't be forcibly taken or transported, and it can only be voluntarily fused with. There's a certain probability that it will appear in the graves of beings with extremely powerful consciousnesses. The Divine God's elixir is a type of inherited divine-level energy body. Usually, the Divine God's elixir will appear wherever the heart of the Divine God appears." Enlin heaved a sigh of relief upon hearing this. "That sounds pretty good. It's even easier to combine the two." Ishi rolled his eyes. "Easy? Are you kidding me? The first grave in which the heart of the Divine God and the Divine God's elixir appear must have a cultivation base of at least the return to void stage, and they must also possess an extremely powerful consciousness. Furthermore, they must also be influenced by the environment. It can be said that you might not be able to find those materials even if you dug up 10 graves. That's all right, I'll take it slow." Enlin didn't appear to be too dejected. "One last question, what do the heart of the Divine God and the Divine God's elixir look like?" Ishi waved a hand. "I've never seen them either. I've heard that the heart of the Divine God is a ball of white, while the Divine God's elixir is a strip of white." Enlin, what an extremely graphic description. He had nothing to say in response. Thankfully, at the very least, Enlin's path to the Divine God was set in stone. Tomb Raider King. He was definitely going to be one. Chapter 295. Tomb raiding wasn't something that could be done on a whim, especially when it was the tomb of a Return to Void stage mighty figure. If he wanted to rob it, he had to know where the tomb was. He had obtained the map of the Winter Dragon tomb from an ancient artifact. This required opportunity, and even more so, fate. And Lin thought about it for a moment. It would be very difficult to rob a tomb, and it wouldn't be any easier than making a breakthrough on his own. Hence, he had to think about it carefully. For now, it was better for him to focus on his studies and cultivation. Before he knew it, another half a month had passed. Dabai took the Divine Vitality Condensing Immortal Pill that Su Xiaolan had given him and broke through to Spirit Nurturing Final Stage, catching up to Enlin's cultivation base. After observing his domain for a period of time, Xiao Chou swallowed the ancient divine pill that Enlin had given him and reached the half-step soul formation initial stage to become a soul beast of the soul formation initial stage. That day, the entire full moon mountain was covered in dark clouds, gale force winds, and thunder. The commotion was so great that it even alerted many of the school's higher-ups. However, when they learned that it was Enlin's beast pet who had broken through to soul formation stage, they all left in disappointment. What? So it's the beast pet of the number one prodigy of the school who made a breakthrough. I was so happy for nothing. Classmate Enlin's beast pet is already of the soul formation stage, yet none of the students in our school are of the soul formation stage. How King embarrassing. Lu Qianhuan always slacks off. Otherwise, she would have taken over Wang Xuanzhan's team a long time ago. Sigh, students are so hard to teach. Not only were the school's higher-ups under immense pressure, but even the host, Enlin, was also under immense pressure. Enlin sighed. Xiao Chou, why didn't you wait for me? Are you trying to defy the natural order? Big brotherin, it's all right, I'll protect you, Xiao Chou said sincerely. This sentence dealt another heavy blow to Enlin. He had fallen to the point where he had to rely on his own beast pet to protect him? No, he had to work harder. He had to catch up. After another half a month, Xiao Hong, who was photosynthesizing silently broke through to spirit nurturing final stage. Enlin, Master, you should bask in the sun more often. Otherwise, your cultivation base is going to rot, Xiao Hong said sweetly. Do you think I'm like you? No matter how suntanned I am, my cultivation base is still moldy. Enlin said with tears streaming down his face. His cultivation had now reached a bottleneck. He had been seriously cultivating for more than a month, but there were no significant changes. In the past, when he cultivated seriously, even if his realm did not change, he would always feel that he was a little more powerful. But now, no matter how much he tempered his core or tempered his body, there was no change. The key was to comprehend and materialize one's domain. This was the most important step between spirit nurturing final stage and half-step soul formation stage. Enlin felt that his aptitude was not bad. It was not like he had never broken through with his own strength. One day, he would be able to create his own domain. However, the pet beasts around him with heaven-defying aptitudes gave him too much pressure, causing his cultivation to soar. What if all his pet beasts were at a higher realm than him? Would others say that he was living off a woman? Pooh! He was living off a beast. What would become of him, the mighty sword immortal Enlin? However, things always took a turn for the better. Enlin's homeroom teacher, the flying sword god, suddenly announced a piece of news. A message from Earth states that the enchantment around celestial immortal Shou Yang's tomb will begin to loosen in 10 days. At that time, cultivators below the Return to Void stage can enter the enchantment with the jade talismans created by the Celestial Court to search for the inheritance. This was also an agreement made between celestial immortal Shou Yang and the Celestial Court prior to his death. 1,000 years later, he would welcome all elites below the soul formation stage from the Celestial Court to enter the Shou Yang's tomb to fight for his inheritance. And now, this moment has finally arrived. There are only 10 jade talismans. Earth has 2, and Xiaoxian United University has 8. Students who want to go to Earth can register with me, and the top 8 students will be chosen by the entire university. Most importantly, we don't know what lies within Celestial Immortal Shou Yang's tomb. We don't even know why he chose to set up his tomb on Earth. Everything is unknown, and the Celestial Court is unable to assess how dangerous it is. However, we cannot rule out the possibility that it may pose a threat to your lives. Hence, it's up to you whether or not you want to fight for this opportunity. Registration begins now. Celestial Immortal's tomb? Only an idiot would refuse this. This was the tomb of a return to void stage mighty figure that Enlin could only dream of. Who would have thought that it would deliver itself to him? He didn't even have to think twice before signing up. Xiaoxian United University received over 600 registrants on that day, and almost all of the top 100 powerful beings on the Immortal Rankings board signed up. The next day was the time for the entire university to vote, and Enlin undoubtedly received the highest number of votes in the entire university. The other 7 candidates were Lu Qianhuan, Tang Ximen, Su Qianyun, Xianyuan Qing, Su Xiaolan, Yao Mingxi, and Hu Guan. Lu Qianhuan, Tang Ximen, Su Qianyun, Xianyuan Qing, and Su Xiaolan were all top-tier powerful beings on the Immortal Rankings board, so their strength and popularity naturally went without saying. Yao Mingxi and Hu Guan were second-year and first-year students, respectively. They were basically the most powerful people in their year, so they had the advantage in popularity and also received the highest number of votes. It was worth mentioning that aside from Yao Mingxi, Hu Guan was also a die-hard fan of Enlin's. Enlin could only sigh in exasperation. It was all this damn school legend's fault. After the candidates were confirmed, Enlin once again assumed the role of team leader. Why wasn't Lu Qianhuan the team leader? Because she had a criminal record. Everyone had a day to make all sorts of preparations. The first thing Enlin did was to go to Do Shui Palace and find someone to refine over 20 spirit pills suitable for his father. He also found Yi Shi to refine a Yin-Yang True Energy Immortal Pill. The Yin-Yang True Energy Immortal Pill was a 7th grade Immortal Pill, and he had used his last Immortal Pill coupon to refine this Immortal Pill. After making all the preparations, he asked for his beast pet's opinions. There's a chance to descend into the mortal world. Who wants to go? I can't enter Celestial Immortal Shou Yang's tomb, so I'm just going there to broaden my horizons. Xiao Hong shook her bright red head. I've already been there once. I've been photosynthesizing in the mortal world for over 100 years, so there's nothing I haven't seen, so I won't be joining in on the fun. Xiao Chou also shook his head. I've only broken through to soul formation stage not long ago, so I want to use the rich vital energy around the full moon mountain to consolidate my cultivation base. I won't be accompanying you for now. Enlin nodded. In terms of cultivation environments, there really weren't many places that could compare to his university, so he could understand Xiao Chou's decision. Debai's eyes lit up upon hearing this. Are the girls on Earth prettier than the girls in the Kingdom of the 9 States? Woof. Almost everyone in the Kingdom of the 9 States is a cultivator, so in terms of overall quality, it's definitely better than Earth. However, there are also many beautiful female cultivators on Earth. I can introduce them to you. Enlin chuckled as he tried to seduce Dabai. He was still waiting to ride a supreme steed back home to Flex, so there was no way he was going to let Dabai off the hook. Seeing that Dabai was a little tempted, Enlin continued, I can also show you hundreds of nude portraits of different beauties. Big brother and I want to go. Woof. Dabai was completely won over by Enlin's words, and he excitedly agreed. Enlin nodded with satisfaction as a look of emotion appeared on his face. After 2 years, he finally had a chance to return home. How's your cultivation going, Dad? Fellow cultivators on Earth, how are you all doing? Tomorrow I and Lin will be back. Chapter 296. a dazzling white light suddenly erupted from a small Taoist temple located in the midst of a mountain range. 2 Taoist priests stood respectfully beside the spell formation. After the white light faded, 8 cultivators began to appear in this world. The cultivator in the lead was riding on a huge white dog, and his aura was vast and majestic. Junior Li Changxing. Junior Li Yu. Welcome, immortal ambassadors. The 2 Taoist priests immediately bowed respectfully upon seeing the 8 cultivators. Lin breathed in the familiar air as he rode on by. No need for formalities. Go and do what you need to do, I'll take care of everything else. The 2 Taoist priests immediately retreated. They only knew that immortal ambassadors would be coming here, but they didn't have the right to know what they were going to do. So this is Earth? The spiritual energy here is indeed a little sparse, but the difference isn't that big. This was the first time Hu Guan had descended into the mortal world, and he was very curious about the things on Earth. At this moment, only 2 people impatiently pulled out their phones. One was Lin, and the other was Lu Qianhuan. Lin opened the navigation app. We're currently in a remote county in the Gui province. There's a world of difference between the Heavenly Lake and the Heavenly Lake. Lu Qianhuan blinked her bright purple eyes in astonishment. My God, there are 10 new heroes? I feel like I've been abandoned by time. It's been 3 years, I wonder how my old friends are doing now, a scholarly man said with a smile. He was Tang Shiman, a 4th-year student. Thinking back, he had descended into the mortal world for the first time, and he had made some friends in the mortal world. Lin also came to a realization upon hearing Tang Shiman's words. He opened WeChat, which he hadn't used in a long time, and entered the Cultivators of the World Unite to Protect Earth group chat. Most of the names in the group were familiar, but there seemed to be a dozen or so more people in the group, so they were most likely newcomers. Right now, someone was shouting in the group, "Green River Sword Immortal. The members of the Dark Sorcery Cult have all hidden themselves in the 5-colored mountain. The protective spell formation is too powerful for us to break. Tian Lingling, I'm so angry. Is there anyone else in the group to help? Those bastards have raised hundreds of human goo. They are simply heartless. We can't let them continue to live." Crackshot Clairvoyant. Even Green River Sword Immortal can't break that protective formation, so there's nothing we can do to help. I'm afraid we'll have to ask the leaders of the 4 great sects for help. Golden Jade, I'll go ask. When Lin saw this, a faint smile appeared on his face. This was forcing him to show his divinity in front of the masses. Just like that, an account that had been silent for almost 2 years suddenly popped up. Fake Taoist Priest Littlein, Tian Lingling, send me your coordinates, I'll help you. The group of cultivators that had just been chatting fervently suddenly fell silent. 10 seconds later, Tian Lingling exclaimed, F***CK. Crackshot Clairvoyant, holy shit. Green River Sword Immortal, F***CK. Atomic Bomb Fairy, F***CK. What's going on? Calm Celestial Maiden, am I seeing things? Golden Jade, did he come back to life? The Savior, did someone hack your account? The entire group of cultivators instantly erupted in an uproar. Countless lurking cultivators popped up, as if they had all been given a fright. Fake Taoist Priest Littlein. Fake Taoist Priest Littlein, I've only been gone for 2 years, do you guys have to go so far? Tian Lingling was extremely excited. Fake Taoist Priest. It's really you? I'll send you my coordinates right away. Soon, a set of coordinates appeared in the group chat. Taoist Wooden Ox. Mr. Lin, do you have the confidence to break through that protective formation? That's a spell formation that even Green River Sword Immortal of the Spirit Nurturing Intermediate stage couldn't break through. Fake Taoist Priest Littlein, don't worry, it'll be fine. The Savior said, Wooden Ox, have you forgotten about the battle in Tibet? Dreamy Voice Fairy, haha, the Poison Lord is finally going to show his might. At this moment, many cultivators in the group started to praise Enlin. After all, that battle was truly an earth-shattering event. It was a battle that countless cultivators revered as a legend. White Spirit Snake. Ah, seniors, who is this senior fake Taoist priest Little and you guys are talking about? A newbie who had just joined the group was extremely curious upon seeing that the group was suddenly in an uproar. Furthermore, it was all because of a cultivator that he had never seen before. Crackshot Clairvoyant. Haha, Little White Snake, you've just joined the group, so you don't know about our hidden god. Let me tell you about him. Soon, as Crackshot Clairvoyant recounted one story after another, the newbie White Spirit Snake was completely stunned by fake Taoist priest's feat. After receiving Tian Lingling's coordinates, Enlin called out to his team to practice. Enlin, let's go, I'll take you guys to meet the evil cultivators on Earth. Tang Shimin. Haha, I've been wanting to exercise for a long time. I hope they won't disappoint me. Lu Qianhuan. Hurry up and do what you need to, I still have to go to the internet cafe. Yao Mingxi and Hu Guan. I'll go wherever Big Brother and points to. Su Qianyun blushed slightly. Classmate Enlin, I won't talk to anyone else later. Su Xiaolan and Xianyuan Cheng were old teammates, so they naturally wouldn't object. Thus, the 7 of them hurried to the 5-colored mountain under Enlin's lead. The 5-colored mountain was a famed mountain in the Dian province, and it was over 200 kilometers away from their current location. 200 kilometers seemed like a long distance, but for cultivators of the spirit nurturing stage, it would take them less than an hour to get there. Riding atop Dubai, Enlin opened his phone again and looked at the cultivator group chat. There was a WeChat friend request from White Spirit Snake with the message, Senior Poison Lord, you're so handsome. I worship you so much. Enlin silently ignored this message. This was clearly a hardcore fan, so there was no way he would accept this friend request. Otherwise, he would be harassed every day. Fake Taoist priest Littlein. Tian Lingling, I'll be there in half an hour. Tian Lingling instantly replied, all right, we're currently guarding the perimeter of the spell formation. However, the dark sorcery cult seems to have sent reinforcements as well. Hurry up, otherwise we'll be in trouble when their reinforcements arrive. Fake Taoist priest Littlein. No problem, once my army arrives, we'll crush them all. Tian Lingling sent a disdainful emoji and didn't say anything else. On the 5-colored mountain in the Gui province, a 5-colored mist barrier enshrouded the entire mountain. A man in a flowing green robe stood with a sword strapped to his back, and he looked at the spell formation with a grave expression. A young girl with short chestnut-colored hair put down her phone and picked up her walkie-talkie. Attention all cultivators, reinforcements from the dark sorcery cult could be on their way. Report to me immediately if anything happens. Big Sister Lingling, are you sure this reinforcements will be fine? We're betting our lives on this. A feminine voice sounded from the other side of the walkie-talkie. Tian Lingling pursed her lips slightly. He's probably quite capable. He'll erupt with power from time to time. If he's in his normal state, he'll probably be a little more powerful than me. Wow, that's a relief. The woman on the other side of the walkie-talkie heaved a sigh of relief. With Tian Lingling's proud personality, if she said he was a little more powerful, then he was definitely a lot more powerful. Meanwhile, within the 5-colored mountain, a dozen or so cultivators in colorful robes were staring nervously at the man at the very center. This was the sect leader of the dark sorcery cult, Jiang Peng. Sect leader, how much longer until the fire poison cult arrives? An elder couldn't help but ask. A sinister smile appeared on Jiang Peng's face. Don't worry, the fire poison cult is just nearby. They'll be here in 10 minutes at most. At that time, we'll kill our way out in one go and attack from both sides. We'll kill all those cultivators who don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. All of the cultivators were reinvigorated upon hearing this. They had been chased by the human cultivators outside the mountain for a long time. The main reason for this was that Green River Sword Immortal was too powerful for Jiang Peng to handle on his own. However, if the fire poison cult arrived, then the situation would be different. One had to realize that the sect leader of the fire poison cult was also a powerful cultivator of the spirit nurturing stage. If the two of them combined forces, they might really be able to annihilate these cultivators. Soon, Jiang Peng's eyes lit up. In the distance, a man with flames and poisonous mist swirling around his body was approaching them with a menacing aura. Behind him were a dozen or so cultivators in red robes with powerful auras. Ha ha ha, the fire poison cult is here. Let's slaughter our way out and kill all of those cultivators. Jiang Peng raised his arm and yelled. The morale of the surrounding cultivators soared as they cheered along with him. Tian Lingling and Green River Sword Immortal also sensed the threat behind them, and their expressions shifted. Crap, the dark sorcery cult reinforcements have arrived first. They want to surround us and kill us. Tian Lingling pulled out a few talismans with an indignant expression on her face. She was already prepared to fight to the death. However, right at this moment the clouds in the sky suddenly stirred. A huge white dog descended from the sky, and the dozen or so cultivators on the ground were all flattened into the ground by its powerful gusts of wind. Who's there? The only one standing was a man enshrouded in flames and poisonous mist. He looked up into the sky and yelled in shock. However, what greeted him was a black arc of light. In the next instant, Unlin had already appeared behind him, and he brandished his sword before sheathing it in a graceful manner. Blood splattered through the air as the sect leader of the fire poison cult collapsed to the ground with his eyes wide open. He's clearly not a good person. Let's kill him first. Unlin shook his head before turning to a young woman with short chestnut-colored hair and waving a hand in greeting. Hi, lowly Tian, I made it in time, right? Tian Lingling's eyes widened with incredulity. The fire poison cult, one of the major sects of the Southwest, had been annihilated in a single clash? The sect leader of the spirit nurturing stage had been slain by Unlin with a single sword strike? The young woman couldn't help but swear. Holy F***ck. Fake Taoist priest, how did you become so powerful? Chapter 297. Hee, I've always been very strong, okay? Unlin flipped his hair and made his way toward Tian Lingling. He looked at her delicate features and her petite figure and couldn't help but sigh with emotion. Sigh, why haven't you grown taller after 2 years? What? Fake Taoist priest, don't you know how to speak? Tian Lingling immediately exploded upon hearing this. She didn't even care how Unlin had become so strong as she threw a series of small fists at Unlin. An expression of disappointment appeared on Dabai's face. Big Brotherin, is this the beautiful woman you met on Earth? Are you blind, or am I blind? Woof. Tian Lingling was a little dazed as she looked at the huge white dog beside her. Dabai spoke in the language of beasts, so there was no need for translation. What? Even your beast pet is slandering me. What are you trying to do? She had never been scolded by a dog before, and she punched Unlin even harder now. Unlin. Green River Sword Immortal laughed heartily upon seeing Unlin and made his way over to him. Mr. Unlin, thank you for your assistance. You're welcome, we're old friends. Unlin waved a hand. At this moment, the 7 cultivators behind him also descended from the sky. These students didn't conceal their auras, and all of them emanated a vast and profound aura, giving off a sense of invincibility. Haha, these are the reinforcements I've called for. Where are your enemies? They just so happen to want to practice. Unlin laughed heartily as he spoke to Green River Sword Immortal. Green River Sword Immortal's eyelids twitched, and he wanted to throw up blood. 8 spirit nurturing stage reinforcements? Holy F***ck. Just one Unlin was enough to crush the fire poison sect, and now there were 8? This was like using a cannon to kill a mosquito. Tian Lingling was also given a fright. She didn't think that Enlin would bring a bunch of spirit-nurturing stage cultivators here to practice. How were they supposed to practice with only the dark sorcery sect left? Spit on each of them? The dark sorcery sect cultivators on the five-colored mountain had also pissed their pants. Holy F***ck. Where did these cultivators come from? Jiang Peng's legs went soft as he stared blankly at the 8 cultivators in the distance. The reinforcements from the fire-poison cult had finally arrived, and they were prepared to charge out together and start a massacre. But in the blink of an eye, the fire-poison cult was annihilated by a single person? Then, 7 spirit-nurturing stage cultivators arrived as reinforcements? How to fight? What was there left for him to fight? Soon, the spirit-nurturing stage cultivators outside surrounded them. Quick, defend with all your might. Activate the formation to the maximum. Jiang Peng shouted for the cultivators to activate the array formation. At the same time, he made a call to the group chat. This was a group called Poison Poison Poison. Black Sorcerer King. Fellow cultivators, I've been besieged by 9 spirit-nurturing stage cultivators on the 5-colored mountain. How can I break free? I'm waiting online, it's urgent. Soon, the group was in an uproar. The Centipede Sage. Holy F***ck, Black Sorcerer King, did you not check the almanac before you left? 9 spirit-nurturing stage cultivators are coming to kill you? Taoist Copper Corpse, what kind of heartless thing did you do? Tears streamed down the Black Sorcerer King's face. Let's not talk about that. Tell me how to break free, I'm going to die. Enlightened Silver Corpse, didn't the Fire Poison King go to save you? Black Sorcerer King. The Fire Poison King had just arrived with his followers when he was insta-killed by one of the cultivators outside. The Centipede Sage, Enlightened Bronze Corpse, Enlightened Silver Corpse, Taoist Crimson Snake. Jiang Peng was about to throw up blood at the sight of a bunch of ellipses, and he hurriedly typed a message. Black Sorcerer King. Fellow cultivators, please give me some advice. I'm really going to die. Clang. The chat window on his phone suddenly disappeared. System notification. Taoist Crimson Snake has removed you from the Poison 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 chat group. Jiang Peng. Boom! All of a sudden, the mountain protection formation collapsed. What's going on? There wasn't even a single violent collision. How did the formation collapse? Jiang Peng exclaimed in shock. I don't know. Sect leader, it seems like one of the formation cores has been destroyed. The other cultivators were already pale with fright, and they stared blankly at the cultivators flying toward them. Jiang Peng didn't say anything else and immediately fled into the distance with all his might. The anguished cries of the dark sorcerer cult cultivators sounded from behind him. 3 breaths later, a steady voice suddenly sounded from behind him. You're a powerful evil cultivator from the mortal world? Do you want to fight me? Jiang Peng was given a huge fright upon hearing this voice. He hastily turned his head and saw that 4 cultivators had already flown to his left, right, up and down. Why don't you pick one? The other black-robed man with a cold expression spoke as he looked at him. Jiang Peng was about to cry. F***ck, pick one? Do I even have a choice? 10,000 bug devour. Jiang Peng's body shuddered, and a thick black mist swept forth in all directions like a tidal wave. This was his trump card. The thick black mist was formed from countless bloodthirsty voodoo insects. These were terrifying insects that could even devour vital energy, and normal cultivators would die upon contact with them. Holy F***ck, they're still farting? The 4 cultivators immediately distanced themselves from him after a loud yell. Jiang Peng didn't even have a chance to heave a sigh of relief before a peerless sword projection of 100 feet in length struck his body. Immediately afterward, flames, lightning cannons, flying swords, boom! Colorful balls of light erupted in the sky, causing heaven and earth to tremble violently. After the fireworks, the sky became clear again. As for the Black Sorcerer King, he had already been reduced to a puff of smoke. Tang Shimin heaved a faint sigh. So it's over after just one attack? Hu Guan was also a little dissatisfied. The main thing is that we've all gathered together. If we fight one at a time, we should be able to exchange a few blows. Xian Yuan Cheng and Yao Mingxi also felt bored, and they silently returned to the five-colored mountain. Enlin rode on Dabai with his chest puffed out and his head held high in the center of a group of cultivators. Not bad, fake Taoist priest. I didn't think you'd have a spirit-nurturing final stage beast pet. Tian Lingling was extremely excited as she stroked Dabai's soft white fur. It felt so good, even better than the best toys. She couldn't stop stroking it. Little girl, please don't do such a perverted thing to me, woof. Dabai glared at Tian Lingling and stuck out his tongue in displeasure. Tian Lingling rolled her eyes and ignored Dabai's words as she continued stroking Dabai's fur. It's so soft and warm. Enlin, we've finished our business here. How about you accompany me to the internet cafe? Lu Qianhuan made her way to Enlin's side with a dainty smile on her face. Oi, don't forget what we're here for. The Shouyang tomb is going to open in 7 days, so don't get in the way. Enlin spoke with a solemn expression. All right, then I won't drag you down with me. I'll go have some fun on my own for 4 or 5 days. See you at the Changbai Mountain Heavenly Lake. Lu Qianhuan waved a hand before stepping onto her staff and rising into the air. Bye. Enlin, fake Taoist priest, you don't seem to be very authoritative as a team leader, Tian Lingling teased. Classmate Enlin, I'm going to visit a few friends in the mortal world anyway. See you at Changbai Mountain in 5 days. Tang Shimin also came to bid farewell. I'm going to look for Huang Shanshan to trade for a few more weapons. We'll keep in touch by phone. Xian Yuan Cheng also came to pat Enlin on the shoulder before departing. Haha, then I'll take classmate Su Qianyun to see the beauty and culture of the mortal world as well. Su Xiaolan latched onto Su Qianyun's hand and bade farewell to Enlin. Enlin massaged his brows with a resigned expression. Alright, everyone can do whatever you want now. We'll all gather at the Changbai Mountain Heavenly Lake in 5 days. No. Big brotherin, I'll follow you wherever you go. Yao Mingxi spoke with a scorching light in his eyes. I'll never abandon you. Hu Guan also spoke in a sincere manner. Enlin almost blacked out. F***ck, all the girls had left, but these 2 guys were sticking to him? Go. Get out of here. I don't want you to follow me. Enlin roared. Pfff. Ha ha. Tian Lingling couldn't help but clutch her stomach as she burst into laughter. Fake Taoist priest, it's been 2 years since we last saw each other. Who would have thought that you'd be so popular with men? Enlin's expression darkened, and he finally managed to chase these 2 retarded fans away after much persuasion. Green River Sword Immortal and the other cultivators from the Dark Sorcery cult also departed, leaving only Enlin and Tian Lingling behind. Why are you still here? Enlin blinked as he looked toward Tian Lingling with curiosity in his eyes. A faint blush appeared on Tian Lingling's delicate features. It's been 2 years since we last saw each other. I just wanted to chat with you more. Enlin's lips twitched. If it weren't for the fact that your hand is constantly stroking Dabai, I would almost believe you. Dabai. Tian Lingling. Chapter 298. All the cultivators of the world unite to protect Earth. Group. Green River Sword Immortal. It's done. The scourge of the voodoo cult has been wiped out. Golden Jade. Fellow Taoist Enlin made a move? Green River Sword Immortal. That's right. He also brought along 7 spirit-nurturing stage cultivators as reinforcements. Crackshot Clairvoyant. What the F***ck, that's crazy? Green River Sword Immortal. That's right. The Dark Sorcery cult and its reinforcements, the Fire Poison cult, were all insta-killed. I just watched from the side. I don't know why, but I felt uncomfortable all over. Calm Fairy. Because the head isn't yours. Atomic Bomb Fairy. Big Sister is right. Taoist wooden ox, +1 green river sword immortal. At this time, Tian Lingling posted a selfie in the group. In the image, she was holding a huge white dog in her arms, and she looked very happy. Tian Lingling, I really like this Dubai. Calm Fairy. Wow, it's so cute and mighty. Whose dog is this? Tian Lingling. This is fake Taoist priest's beast pet. It's a spirit beast of the spirit nurturing final stage. Taoist wooden ox. The savior. F***CK. His pet beast is actually this terrifying? Tian Lingling. What's so strange about that? Fake Taoist priest has also reached spirit nurturing final stage. Enlightened Lazarite. I remember that he was only at the 9th stage Tao body 2 years ago, right? You're already spirit nurturing final stage? Tian Lingling. Why didn't you say that he was a 0th stage Tao body 3 years ago? Enlightened Lazarite. Dreamy voice fairy. Golden Jade. Crack shot clairvoyant. Calm fairy. I want some peace and quiet. Atomic bomb fairy. My immortal cultivation is fake, isn't it? It's not the same, right? My chest feels stuffy. Taoist red WRM. I'm really a salted fish. The group fell into a strange atmosphere of self-doubt. Ha 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 ha. At this moment, up in the sky, Tian Lingling was laughing so hard she was doubled over as she stared at her phone. She was so elated that she even slapped Dubai's behind. How can a little girl in the mortal world be more of a hooligan than me? Woof. Dubai protested loudly. And Lin's mouth twitched. He didn't know if it was the right choice to let the girl behind him ride Dubai. Fake Taoist priest, the group has been dealt a blow by your freak again. Holy shit. You're pulling aggro on me again? How can this be called attracting hatred? This is a disguised form of promoting the positive atmosphere of cultivation in the group. It's a good thing for the present to benefit the future. Is that so? Then who was the one who almost burst into tears after hearing that I had reached the spirit-nurturing final stage? So this little girl is not only a hooligan, but she's also two-faced. Dubai commented. Then, its butt was touched again. And Lin took out his phone and dialed a number. A familiar voice came from the other side of the phone. The voice was trembling with excitement. Hey little Lin, is that you? You're back? And Lin smiled. He was also quite touched by this voice. Dad, it's me. I'm back. How have you been? I've been very energetic recently. Ever since I started cultivating, my body has been improving day by day. That's good. Do you still need WeChat? Send me your coordinates, I'll send you some warmth. Haha, thank you, little Lin. I've been cultivating this entire time and haven't used WeChat much. I didn't even know you were online. I'll hang up now and send it to you. And Mingchuan immediately hung up the phone. Then, his coordinates appeared in the chat window. It was quite clear that he really wanted to see his son. Otherwise, he wouldn't have contacted him so soon. And Lin looked at the coordinates, and a faint smile appeared on his face. He also felt very warm in his heart. Especially after hearing his father's energetic voice on the phone, his heart that was hanging in the air was completely at ease. Uncle Lin is now the rising star of the National Cultivation Department. He's only cultivated for 2 years, yet he's already reached the 5th stage Tao body. That speed has broken the record for the fastest breakthrough in the entire department, Tian Lingling said to Lin with a hint of envy. Of course. Look at who his son is. Like father, like son. And Lin replied with a smug expression. Tian Lingling rolled her eyes. Why are you so shameless? If I praise you, you'll go to heaven. If I praise your father, you'll go to heaven too? Big brother and shamelessness is indestructible. I agree with that. Woof. Dubai chimed in. And Lin ignored the praises from the large dog and the little girl and began humming a tune to himself. And Mingchuan's rate of cultivation was not only because he had a large amount of cultivation resources to support him, but also because of his aptitude. He had reached the 5th stage Tao body in 2 years, so it was clear that his aptitude was quite good. The North Mist Mountain of the capital city was enshrouded in white mist all year round, and there was an area that was isolated from the outside world by a metal fence. There was also a massive spell formation that isolated the inside of the mountain from the outside world. Even if a plane were to fly overhead, all they would see would be a vast expanse of green mountains and clear waters. At this moment, Mingchuan was looking into the distance at the summit of the North Mist Mountain, awaiting the arrival of a certain someone. A middle-aged man in a plain Taoist robe made his way over to him with a hearty laugh. "Mingchuan, I just received news that your precious son is coming?" And Mingchuan immediately extended a respectful salute. "Teacher," little Lin said, "he's already arrived at the Ji province." This middle-aged man was Mingchuan's cultivation teacher, Cuizhe. He was the highest-ranking teacher in the National Cultivation Department, having a cultivation base of the spirit-nurturing final stage. With Cuizhe's strength, he could be considered a top-notch expert even in the talented Special Operations Department. However, even with this status, Cuizhe didn't put on any airs toward Mingchuan. Instead, he imparted everything he knew to Mingchuan from the bottom of his heart. On one hand, Mingchuan was indeed a rare young cultivator, and on the other hand, Mingchuan had a good son. Others might not know how powerful Lin was, but as a high-ranking official in the National Cultivation Department, he was well aware of just how terrifying Lin was. This was a level of power that transcended common sense. Cultivation was all about opportunities, and Cuizhe felt like Mingchuan was his opportunity. "Haha, your precious son is here." Cuizhe narrowed his eyes and looked into the distance. The vast aura exuding from that direction made even him feel a little shocked. He opened the protective spell formation to welcome his guest. He was then greeted by the sight of 2 people riding a huge white dog toward the summit of the North Mist Mountain. Cuizhe's eyelids twitched as waves of shock surged through his heart. Just the beast pet's cultivation base alone was on par with his own. Who would have thought that Lin would grow to such an extent in just 2 short years, Dad? Lin leaped off Dabai and gave Mingchuan a bear hug. "Ha ha, you look quite energetic." Mingchuan was elated as he patted Lin's back. "Of course, I'm super bad *SS now." Lin chuckled triumphantly. His father's white hair had already turned black, and the wrinkles on his face had also lessened slightly, upon which a sense of joy welled up in his heart. "Hello, Uncle." Tian Lingling leaped off Dabai and greeted Mingchuan in an obedient manner. "Oh, Lingling is here too?" Mingchuan's eyes lit up as he greeted her. Due to her relationship with Lin, Tian Lingling had visited Mingchuan a few times on the North Mist Mountain, so they were quite familiar with each other. "By the way, let me introduce you, this is my teacher, Cuizhe," Mingchuan introduced. Lin immediately became respectful upon learning that the middle-aged man beside him was his father's teacher. He immediately spoke, "Uncle Cui, so you're my father's teacher. I'll give you a present for Nuan as well." Cuizhe was shocked to hear this, and he immediately refused. "How could I accept this? Teaching your father is my job, I can't accept this." "That's enough, that's a different matter. You've contributed the most to my father becoming the fastest person in the department. This is my personal gratitude, so don't refuse." Lin waved his hand with a firm expression. Cuizhe could only nod in agreement, but at the same time, his heart was filled with joy. See, Mingchuan was indeed an opportunity for him. Someone was sending him warmth, just like that. Chapter 299. "Dad, come over here. I brought you a lot of good stuff from the Celestial Court." Lin led Mingchuan to a small pavilion and began to fiddle with his storage ring with excitement on his face as he inspected the items within. "What are you talking about? I don't lack anything here, so there's no need for you to bring anything here." Mingchuan spoke with a nonchalant expression. "You really don't lack anything? You don't even want spirit tools?" And Lin chuckled. As soon as these words came out, the entire pavilion quietened down. Tian Lingling, Cui Zhe, and Mingchuan all drew a sharp intake of breath as their eyes widened in shock. What did spirit tools mean to cultivators on Earth? That was the most precious treasure of a large sect. The number of spirit tools that had appeared in the entire Hua nation could be counted on two hands. No, these things are too valuable. You can keep them for yourself, I don't want them. And Mingchuan immediately refused after coming to his senses. And Lin smiled. He knew what his father was worried about. Don't worry, I have a lot of spirit tools here, you can pick whatever you want. Soon after, his storage ring flashed, and 6 spirit tools appeared on the table, each exuding an intimidating aura. There were 3 elementary rank spirit tools and 3 intermediate rank spirit tools. These were the treasures he had obtained when he was being robbed outside the Winter Dragon tomb, and he had never sold them. Holy F***ck. Tian Lingling couldn't help but swear at the sight of the 6 spirit tools in front of her. Cui Zhe swallowed a mouthful of saliva and stared blankly. How do you have so many? And Mingchuan's eyes widened. Just the spirit tools that Lin had taken out accounted for half of all the spirit tools in the entire Hua nation. Lin didn't think much of it. Spirit tools were extremely valuable even in the Kingdom of the 9 States, so it was no wonder that they were so shocked. Hurry up and choose, Dad. These weapons are going to rot in my storage ring, and I don't lack money, Lin said with a heroic expression. Dabai pursed his lips when he saw this. He knew that Big Brother and was already in his show-off mode. Tian Lingling had initially wanted to insult Lin, but now she had forgotten to speak. She could only stare blankly at the 6 spirit tools on the table, drooling from her mouth. And Mingchuan didn't refuse. He preferred to use swords, so he chose an intermediate rank spirit weapon, the Blue Frost sword. And Lin gave him a thumbs up. As expected of my dad. Our family is destined to produce sword immortals. Tian Lingling. Are you praising yourself as a sword immortal again? Dabai, Big Brother and is always like this. After his father finished his selection, he looked at Tian Lingling and pointed to the spirit tools on the table. You pick one of these spirit tools too. Tian Lingling was dazed upon hearing this. She stared at Lin with her large woof eyes. Fake Taoist priest, you mean you're going to give me a spirit tool? And Lin nodded. After all, she was a good friend he had made in the mortal world, and he had always been very generous to his friends. Wow! Sword immortal Lin, I love you to death. Tian Lingling pounced toward Lin excitedly and planted a kiss on the side of Lin's face as she squealed with joy. The term, Sword Immortal Lin, was clearly very effective on Lin, and a smug smile appeared on his face. Then, he pointed at the spiritual weapons on the table and continued, quickly pick one that you like. Tian Lingling nodded and chose a pair of white darts from the 5 spirit tools. These were elementary rank spirit tools, flying lightning darts. After making his selection, Lin turned to Cui Zhe. Uncle Cui, I told you I was going to give you a big present as well. You should pick a spirit tool too. Cui Zhe was rooted to the spot as soon as Lin finished his sentence. Give him a spirit tool? Are you kidding me? This was a priceless spirit tool. He had thought that Lin would give him some good stuff, such as a precious magic tool or a priceless spirit pill, but never would he have thought that Lin would give him a spirit tool. Uncle Cui, you're my father's teacher, please accept this gift. Lin spoke with a solemn expression after seeing that Cui Zhe was still in a daze. And Mingchuan also laughed heartily. Little Lin has grown up, this is a gift from him. Teacher, you should go and pick one up. This. Cui Zhe looked at Lin and Mingchuan before finally taking a deep breath. All right, then I'll accept this gift. He chose an elementary rank spirit tool, the silver blood spear. He held the spear in his hand, and his hands began to tremble as he sensed the energy fluctuations and spirituality emanating from the spear. This was a spirit tool? This was a gift of warmth? Chuizha was a little dazed. This warmth was simply too warm, so warm that he felt as if his blood was boiling. He had really grasped the right opportunity. Teaching in Mingchuan everything he knew was the best decision he had ever made. Enlin stowed the remaining 3 spirit tools into his storage ring before giving his father a dozen or so spirit pills of different effects, as well as 200,000 spirit stones. These would be enough for his father to use until he reached the spirit nurturing stage. Tian Lingling and Chuizha looked at the dazzling array of treasures in front of them, and they were already numb to it. It was like watching a super-rich person squander 100 million yuan after another. Even though that was a lot of money to them, after they became numb to it, it was just a number, and it wouldn't cause them much of a stir. And Mingchuan was the one who was most shocked. Because he was the one who was receiving the money. It was exactly because he had come into contact with the cultivation world that he was extremely shocked. Setting aside the spirit pills and spirit tools, just the 200,000 spirit stones alone was more than he had ever seen in the cultivation department. All right, that's all for the gift of warmth. And Lin clapped his hands together with a joyful smile on his face. Why did he cultivate? Why did he fight? He couldn't explain it. At this moment, his mood was very simple. He was just like a man who worked hard outside. When the company finally paid his salary, he would send money home to subsidize his family's expenses. He wanted to let his parents know that he was independent and that they could rely on him. This was probably what he was feeling right now. This was a really good feeling, and Enlin really liked it. After delivering the warmth, Enlin brought out the famous tea he had purchased in the Kingdom of the 9 States and tasted it with his father, Tian Lingling, and Chuizha. The 4 of them sat around the stone table, chatting about cultivation and the things they had experienced in the past 2 years. So you're already at the 10th stage, Dao Body? Not bad, you're improving quite quickly. Enlin looked at Tian Lingling with surprise on his face. Tian Lingling humphed lightly and didn't reply. Even in the United University of Cultivation, the speed at which her cultivation base was progressing at was extremely impressive. However, in front of Enlin, she was completely crushed into nothingness. She had initially planned to bully Enlin a little when he came back, or at least catch up to him. Who would have thought that after 2 years, she would finally reach the spirit nurturing stage, but Enlin was already close to the F*King Soul formation stage. She almost suffocated from anger. Ms. Tian Lingling is indeed the most talented cultivator among the new generation of cultivators in the Hua Nation, Chuizha chimed in. Of course not. Don't forget about Uncle Lin, Tian Lingling said with a wide grin. Haha, I forgot about in Mingchuan. Chuizha rubbed his hands together and chuckled. He entered the sect late, but he's doing very well. Be careful not to be overtaken. And Mingchuan didn't really care about cultivation. After learning that Enlin had descended into the mortal world with a mission, he immediately asked the question that he was most concerned about. Little Lin, did Su Xiaolan come with you? Enlin faltered slightly before nodding. She did come with me. Why? Why didn't you bring her to see me? And Mingchuan slapped his thigh with a furious expression. Enlin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Why would I bring her to see you? She has her own things to do. What things? Shopping. And Mingchuan heaved a forlorn sigh and shook his head. With his son's EQ, did he get his last girlfriend from the lottery? Just as Mingchuan was sighing in resignation, a ringtone suddenly sounded. It was Enlin's phone. Enlin pulled out his phone to find that it was a call from Su Xiaolan. Speaking of Xiaolan, Xiaolan was here. He answered the call. Hello, how's it going? Xiaolan's urgent voice sounded from the other side of the phone. Bad news, Enlin, something bad has happened. Chapter 300. Enlin was startled by Su Xiaolan's words. What happened? Su Xiaolan's voice sounded from the other side of the phone again. I lost Su Qianyan. What? Enlin's eyes widened. How could you lose such a big person? Su Xiaolan was also very anxious. We were shopping on the commercial street at the time, and I saw a place that sold delicious food, so I wanted to buy a couple of portions to satisfy my cravings. Who would have thought that Su Qianyun would disappear right after I bought it? Lin was slightly taken aback by her words. What the hell was with this melodramatic plot? There was no reason for such a big person to disappear. It wasn't like she was a child, Su Xiaolan continued. She doesn't have a phone, so what should we do? Send me the coordinates. I'm coming right now. Lin knew he couldn't wait any longer, and he immediately stood up. Su Xiaolan's location was displayed on the phone. Coincidentally, it was a commercial street in the capital city, not far from where he was. It looked like they were also quite interested in the capital city of the Hua nation, which was why they set up their first stop here. Lin didn't waste any more time, and he immediately called over Dabai and Tian Lingling, and they flew toward the location. Su Qianyun was walking aimlessly on the street with a look of anxiety in her eyes. She was dressed in a light blue dress, and her features were exquisitely beautiful. Many people turned to look at her as she walked, but she didn't feel the slightest bit smug. Instead, she was very anxious because she couldn't find Su Xiaolan. She was lost. Looking at the bustling crowd, Su Qianyun was a little dumbfounded. It's over, there are so many people around, how am I supposed to find Su Xiaolan? If I had known this would happen, I would have exchanged voice transmission talismans. In the past, they would see each other all the time, so they didn't pay much attention to these things. Sigh, if only I didn't help that flower seller up. No, wait, how could I not help the flower seller up when she was knocked down? He should have memorized his position before he left. Su Qianyun's eyes were filled with disappointment and regret. Her sense of direction was very poor. No, it should be said that she had no sense of direction at all. She would basically forget the path she had taken when she turned back. She had been following closely behind Su Xiaolan because she was afraid that she would get lost. However, the thing she was most afraid of still happened. She really got lost. After that, she followed her intuition and walked in a certain direction. She felt that Su Xiaolan was there. Then, yep, he didn't find it. He successfully got lost. What should I do? Su Qianyun muttered to herself. He didn't have a mobile phone to contact her, and he didn't have any money with him. He didn't even have the language barrier. She was lost in the sea of people and felt helpless for the first time. Oh, by the way, the book says that if you are in trouble, you can look for the police. Su Qianyun's eyes flashed, and she found a breakthrough. She looked around and finally locked her gaze on a familiar-looking woman in the milk tea shop. Hi, hello, Su Qianyun said in Mandarin, stuttering. The woman saw that the person who came was so beautiful that even an old lady like her could feel her heart palpitate. Her attitude couldn't help but improve a little. She smiled and said, Miss, what would you like to drink? Su Qianyun was slightly stunned. The woman spoke too quickly, and she couldn't understand what she said at all. Yep, maybe she wouldn't understand if she spoke slowly. Police, where? She thought for a long time and finally came up with this phrase. The woman was a little confused. This girl came to her milk tea shop to look for the police? I'm looking for the police. Where? Su Qianyun's fair face was a little red, and it was especially lovable. The woman's mouth twitched slightly, but she still patiently answered, Miss, you have to go to the police station to look for the police. The nearest police station is a little far from here. It's about 600 meters away in the northeast direction, and there's no way to give directions. You can just use the Chengdu map on your phone to search for the nearest police station. Otherwise, you can use Bang Bang Taxi to go there. Su Qianyun blinked her dreamy blue eyes, looking confused. She couldn't understand a single word. Oh no, she could understand the word police. The woman was also confused. What was wrong with this girl? Did she not understand human language? Very quickly, she came to her senses. From his language and expression, it was possible that he really didn't understand Chinese. Could she be a foreigner? It was all too common to meet foreigners in the capital. The woman smiled faintly, thinking that this girl had found the right person this time. Her English was pretty good. It was time to show off the quality of the Chinese people and bring glory to the country. The woman confidently repeated what she had said in English, then looked at Su Qianyun, as if trying to find an expression of shock and joy on her face. Su Qianyun was still confused. This time, she really couldn't understand a single word. The police, where am I? Su Qianyun asked again with a pleading look. The woman was speechless. The woman was about to cry. This girl didn't even know English? Which country did she come from? Judging from her appearance, she was Chinese. It was useless to go to the police station with this level of language. The police would also be confused. But for some reason, the woman couldn't bear to see such a beautiful girl like Su Qianyun standing alone in front of her, looking at her with a pleading look. Xiao Zhang, look after the shop for me. I have something to do. The woman finally made up her mind and took the initiative to lead the way. If you don't know the way, I'll bring you there. Let's go. The woman waved her hand at Su Qianyun. Su Qianyun nodded obediently and followed beside the woman. This time, she was very close to the woman to avoid getting lost. This child. The woman shook her head and smiled bitterly. She also looked at Su Qianyun. Today was the weekend, so there was a lot of traffic in the business district. It was full of people. Su Qianyun looked around curiously at the various passers-by. Many passers-by also looked at her with envious eyes. Right at this moment, she saw a middle-aged man with a strange movement. The man's hand was slowly reaching into the pocket of another man's pants and pulling out a black bag. Su Qianyun blinked as she felt a sense of déjà vu. She felt like the pickpockets in the Kingdom of the Nine States were also like this. This is such a familiar feeling. It looks like some cultures and skills are interconnected. Su Qianyun sighed with emotion. With a flick of her finger, an invisible force pierced through the air and struck the pickpocket's wrist. Bam! Ow! The pickpocket howled in pain and fell to the ground, clutching his wrist. The black bag also fell to the ground. There were many people on the street to begin with. This scene instantly attracted the attention of a large group of people. The other man also turned around. Young man, what's wrong? Huh? This bag looks a little familiar. Holy F***ck. Isn't the bag next to your hand mine? The man who had his bag stolen was given a huge fright. He picked up his bag and was dumbstruck when he saw the man rolling on the ground. Then, he called Yao Yao Ling. As for the pickpocket, he howled in pain as if he had seen a ghost. The middle-aged woman was also attracted by this commotion. TSK. A pickpocket twisted his wrist while trying to steal a bag? What a weirdo. This is probably what they mean by God will punish the wicked. Su Qianyun pursed her lips into a smile. Although she didn't understand what these people were saying, the pickpocket must have been an idiot. It felt pretty good to use a power unknown to others to do some good deed. Wait, use a power unknown to others? Su Qianyun stopped in her tracks. A thought suddenly occurred to her and she looked up at the sky. At some point in time, the sky above this area was already covered with dark clouds. Miss, stop looking. It's going to rain soon. Let's hurry to the police station. The middle-aged woman pulled Su Qianyun and grumbled, "What the hell is with the weather forecast? It said it was going to be sunny, but now it looks like it's going to rain." The passers-by on the street also quickened their footsteps and complained about the weather. Rumble! A muffled thunder suddenly came from the sky. Hey, there's thunder! The middle-aged woman had to hurry up. Unexpectedly, Su Qianyun stood there in a daze, looking at the direction of the thunder. At this time, a few bolts of lightning tore through the clouds. Rumble! The thunder was even louder than before. Like the roar of an ancient beast, it exploded between heaven and earth, scaring some timid girls to the point that they screamed. Holy F***ck, what kind of thunder is this? Isn't it too exaggerated? The middle-aged woman was also shocked. But Su Qianyun's delicate body trembled slightly. She felt a slight fluctuation of heaven and earth essence qi. Is someone sending a signal to the surroundings? Thank you. Su Qianyun looked at the middle-aged woman and said gratefully. Miss, what are you suddenly saying? The middle-aged woman was slightly taken aback. Su Qianyun's soft hand had already landed on the middle-aged woman's back, and a surge of warmth flowed through her entire body. The middle-aged woman felt a wave of comfort wash over her body, and her eyes widened in shock. In the next instant, Su Qianyun had already disappeared on the spot. 10 seconds later, the middle-aged woman came to her senses and pinched her face to find that it hurt a little. She moved her body in disbelief and found that her entire body was filled with energy. Even the pain in her joints that she had been suffering for many years had disappeared. She felt extremely relaxed and comfortable. Could it be that I've encountered a deity? The middle-aged woman murmured in shock. Chapter 301. On the rooftop of a tall building. Great lightning technique. Su Xiaolan let loose a light cry. Lightning flashed through the dark clouds, leaving a series of dazzling streaks in the air. Tian Lingling's face turned deathly pale. Wait, Keith, isn't that a little too much? Do we really have to do this? There's no other way. There are so many people, and we don't have much time. This is the only way to get Su Qianyun to come find us. Hopefully, she'll be able to detect this strange divine lightning. Unlin heaved a resigned sigh. I'll help out as well, Woof. Dabai waved his paws excitedly. Gale force winds instantly swept through heaven and earth. The sudden gale force winds swept through heaven and earth, causing the tourists on the ground to scream in fright. Run! It's raining! It's raining! Why did the weather change so suddenly? What a jerk! Ow, let's find a place to hide. The people on the ground fled in panic, but there were also some brave people who raised their cell phones and took pictures of the sky. Rumble lightning was still exploding in the sky. It was extremely dense, like a divine sword piercing through the dark clouds, striking fear into the hearts of onlookers. Wow, what a spectacular sight! Is someone transcending their tribulation nearby? It must be some mighty figure ascending. Some people took pictures while others recorded videos. All of them were in awe. On the rooftop of a tall building. Phew! I can't hold on anymore, I'm out of energy. Sweat was already pouring down Su Xiaolan's forehead. She was completely exhausted from unleashing her lightning techniques in succession. Hold on a little longer, let's go big. Lightning flashed from Enlin's fingers, and a mysterious ripple proliferated into the sky. Su Xiaolan nodded as a determined expression appeared on her face. The power of the true dragon erupted from her body and soared into the sky. Divine Dragon Lightning Burst. Lightning Amplification Technique. An extremely thick bolt of lightning suddenly appeared in the sky, slicing the inky black clouds in half and lighting up the entire heaven and earth. All the people who were still watching the lightning in the sky felt as if they had been blinded. Immediately afterward, an earth-shattering boom erupted, as if a true dragon had roared from the heavens. The nearby glass was even shattered by the sound of it. The people who were still watching the thunder and lightning in the sky felt as if they had gone deaf. Ah! Someone screamed in fear. Some people were so scared that they dropped their phones on the ground with a clatter. Holy shit! What kind of lightning is this? Mommy's so scary! I've never seen such shocking lightning in my entire life. A paranormal event. This is definitely a paranormal event. It had to be said that the people near the commercial street were all frightened by this terrifying lightning. There were some people who were brave in the pedestrian street, but now they all hid in the shops, afraid of being struck by the terrifying lightning. However, what made them feel strange was that after that terrifying bolt of lightning appeared, the heavenly thunder in the sky didn't seem to appear much. At this moment, on the rooftop of a certain building, Tian Lingling looked down at the fleeing pedestrians and murmured to herself, It's over, how could you guys do this? This is going to get out of hand. Meanwhile, Su Xiaolan and Enlin were panting heavily as they sat back to back on the ground, clearly exhausted. Dubai was still wreaking havoc and whipping up gale force winds. Regardless of whether I can succeed or not, I've already tried my best. Enlin wiped the sweat from his forehead. I hope Su Qianyun can see this. If she can't, we'll continue. Su Xiaolan had a determined expression on her face. Tian Lingling almost blacked out upon hearing this. She still wanted to continue? Right at this moment, a mellow voice sounded from the distance. Classmate Enlin, classmate Su Xiaolan. I've finally found you. Su Qianyun flew toward them atop her moonlight disk. There was an expression of excitement and embarrassment on her face. An invisibility spell formation had been set up around her body, which could conceal her from humans and equipment. However, Enlin, Su Xiaolan, and the others were able to see through her at a glance. Su Xiaolan immediately stood up with excitement upon seeing this before throwing her arms around Su Qianyun, who was also flying toward them. I'm sorry, Su Xiaolan. It's all my fault for leaving without permission. I'm sorry for making you worry. How can you be blamed for this? It's all my fault. I was careless. Su Xiaolan and Su Qianyun embraced each other tightly, as if they were sisters who had been separated for many years. Enlin also wanted to give them a hug, but he couldn't do anything, so he could only stand off to the side with a sullen expression. Dubai stopped his spell formation upon seeing Su Qianyun. Tian Lingling also heaved a sigh of relief. Seeing as you've already found them, let's disperse the dark clouds in the sky. Disperse the dark clouds? Are you an idiot? Enlin looked at Tian Lingling with a disdainful expression. Tian Lingling's mouth gaped open. There was thunder and wind before, but now the dark clouds have suddenly dispersed. What do you think everyone will think? This is completely illogical. Enlin spoke with a serious expression. So what you're saying is... Tian Lingling's bright eyes widened as a thought suddenly occurred to her. Of course I'm making it rain. Enlin replied with a serious expression. Su Xiaolan and Su Qianyun were also very much in agreement with Enlin's point of view, and both of them looked at him with approval in their eyes. Thus, the three of them used the dark clouds in the sky to unleash the great rain technique. Walala! It's raining cats and dogs. Tian Lingling's chest tightened a little. Follow science? It sounded like it made a lot of sense, but she couldn't help but feel like something was off. Bam! A slender long-haired woman in a black casual outfit kicked open the door to the top floor and led a few cultivators toward Enlin and the others. I'm Huang Shanshan, the second team leader of the National Special Operations Department. Why are you all here? The long-haired woman's words trailed off as she looked at everyone with incredulity. Enlin and the others were also astonished as they looked at this familiar woman. Hey! What a coincidence! Enlin greeted her awkwardly. Why is it you guys again? Huang Shanshan's eyes widened, and she felt the urge to beat someone up. Tian Lingling blinked. Big Sister Shanshan, what do you mean by them again? Last time in Rong City, they unleashed a spell and set the entire sky on fire, Huang Shanshan snapped. Holy F***ck. No wonder they're so skilled, no wonder they don't feel guilty at all. They've done it before. Tian Lingling was also astonished. Su Xiaolan. Enlin scratched his head sheepishly. Well, special circumstances require special treatment. Let me explain. The rain gradually stopped, and the dark clouds dissipated. Bright sunlight once again shone down upon the earth. The people who had been through the baptism of lightning, thunder, and torrential rain once again appeared on the street. They were still discussing the terrifying thunderstorm. Some of them posted on their WeChat moments, while others posted on Weibo. To them, this wasn't a big deal. Posting on WeChat moments and Weibo was merely a way for them to vent their emotions and show off. As for those who had been frightened, they would grumble a little at most, and they would soon forget about it. There was no shortage of bizarre things in this world, and this incident wasn't even on the list. Any inconceivable scene could be explained by science. If they really couldn't explain it, they could just call it a promotional video for a game. Su Xiaolan, Su Qianyun, Enlin, and even that dog apologized sincerely and offered to compensate them with spirit stones. After hearing Enlin's explanation, Huang Shanshan sighed lightly and didn't accept the spirit stones. Seeing as this incident wasn't too big of a deal, she only gave everyone a verbal warning and didn't pursue the matter any further. Enlin brought out a green spirit pill from his storage ring and handed it to Huang Shanshan. "What are you doing? I don't accept bribes." Huang Shanshan glared at Enlin. "Ah, we've reunited after such a long time, we should give our old friends some gifts, don't you think? This is a spirit pill of everlasting beauty. It can permanently whiten your skin and revitalize your skin." Enlin shoved the spirit pill into Huang Shanshan's hands. Huang Shanshan refused with her hands, but she accepted the spirit pill with sincerity in her heart. In the end, she reluctantly accepted the spirit pill. "Humph, you didn't even greet me when you descended into the mortal world, and now you're asking me to clean up after you caused trouble. How dare you say we're old friends?" Huang Shanshan pursed her lips and grumbled, but the expression on her face was a lot more relaxed. "I'm going, call me if you need anything." Huang Shanshan waved her hand, swaying her slim waist as she left. "Take care, Shanshan." Enlin waved his hand enthusiastically. Huang Shanshan's personality was getting hotter and hotter, and so was her figure. Hence, Dabai was very excited. Big brother, and is she also a friend of yours? Please introduce me." "Woof. Okay. I'll get you a phone first, she doesn't have a voice transmission talisman." Enlin pointed at Su Qianyun after saying this to Dabai. "You too." Su Qianyun nodded with a guilty expression. Her dreamy eyes were slightly misty, making her look very lovable. Enlin sucked in a breath of cold air as he was once again stunned by her beauty. "You need a voice transmission talisman too. Add me." Chapter 302. Enlin injected his aura into Su Qianyun's voice transmission talisman and asked Huang Shanshan to help him get 2 identification cards. One was called Su Qianyun and the other was called Bai Dachuan. Then, he bought 2 cell phones for them and got them SIM cards. After that, the 3 of them were dumbfounded. Enlin discovered a very serious problem. Neither Dabai nor Su Qianyun understood Chinese. Dabai hadn't learned it and Su Qianyun hadn't. They were 2 complete idiots. Why would they need a cell phone? Su Xiaolan was very enthusiastic about teaching Su Qianyun how to use a cell phone. At the very least, she had to teach her how to make and receive calls. Dabai was also very eager to learn from Enlin. He carefully played with the cell phone with his thick paws and looked very excited, as if he was about to go to war. WeChat. Ding dong. A message appeared on Huang Shanshan's WeChat. Someone sent a friend request with the message, "I'm Bai Dachuan. Accept." Bai Dachuan. "Hello, Sister Shanshan, I'm Bai Dachuan." Huang Shanshan. "Yes, you're Enlin's beast pet, right?" Bai Dachuan. "Yes, you do remember me." Dabai was very excited. He then sent a nude selfie to Huang Shanshan. Bai Dachuan. "Am I handsome?" Huang Shanshan. "Bai Dachuan, what other positions do you like? I'll send them to you." Then, he sent a sexy nude selfie to Huang Shanshan. Huang Shanshan. "Bai Dachuan, what do you mean by sending a little?" However, Dabai didn't send the message. System notification. You and Huang Shanshan are not friends. If you want to talk to her, please add her as a friend first. Dabai listened to Brother An's verbal translation and jumped up. Sister Shanshan deleted me? How could this be? What did I do wrong? No, Brother An must have tricked me. Woof. The typing and translation were all done by Enlin alone. Dabai felt that he had been cheated. Enlin turned his head away with a cold expression. He didn't want to talk to Dabai. Dabai handed his phone to Su Xiaolan and pleaded with an aggrieved expression, Celestial Maidenlawn, look at the chat history, is it really like what Big Brother and said? Su Xiaolan. She glanced at it and thought that it was indeed Debai's style, so she silently returned the phone to Debai, too lazy to explain. When Debai saw Su Xiaolan and Enlin's disdainful expressions, he finally realized that something was wrong with the situation. It muttered to itself, could it be that my way of picking up girls is wrong? But shouldn't girls like this be flirted with like this? Enlin's mouth twitched slightly. He had wanted to take this opportunity to make Debai aware of its problem, but he did not expect it to be completely unaware. It was hopeless. At this moment, his phone suddenly rang. He took it out and saw that it was Huang Shanshan calling. It couldn't be, could it be because of Debai's teasing, so she was calling to punish him? Enlin was a little flustered, but he still picked up the phone. Hello, Sister Shanshan, what's up? Enlin. Huang Shanshan's angry voice came from the phone. Are Yao Mingxi and Hu Guan part of your team? Yes. Enlin was a little dumbfounded, and a bad feeling arose in his heart. Quick, come and get them. Those two people were caught performing acrobatics at the temple fair. Huang Shanshan shouted. Enlin was even more confused. What? Why are they being arrested for performing acrobatics? Huang Shanshan said angrily. Have you seen a performance of crushing rocks with their chests? Do they really use their chests to crush rocks? Have you seen a performance of swallowing swords? Do they really bite and swallow swords into their stomachs? Have you seen a performance of spitting fire? Do they spit fire directly from their mouths without drinking kerosene or alcohol? Enlin wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. I've never seen it, Huang Shanshan sneered. Everyone who participated in the temple fair has seen it. Enlin's body swayed, and he almost lost his balance. What the F***ck? Seeing that Yao Mingxi and Hu Guan didn't resist when they were arrested by the National Special Operations Department and had a good attitude in admitting their mistakes, I won't report this to the Celestial Court. I'll send you the address. Quickly go and get them, and give them a good education. Huang Shanshan's voice came from the phone. Okay, I'll definitely teach them a good lesson. Enlin was a little regretful that he let them move around freely. They were just causing trouble for him. You're adding to my workload again. Do you want to die? Huang Shanshan grumbled and hung up. Enlin sighed and unlocked his phone. Then, he rode on his dog toward the coordinates that Huang Shanshan had sent him. Su Xiaolan and Su Qianyun continued to stroll around the capital. It was their team leader's responsibility to bail them out, and it had nothing to do with them, so there was no need for them to tag along. Only Tian Lingling was still following Enlin, for no other reason than that Debai was too easy to ride. Within a certain detention center in the Yu province, Enlin fished Yao Mingxi and Hu Guan out of the detention center. Tears welled up in their eyes at the sight of Enlin. Big Brotherin, I'm sorry for causing trouble for you. I was the one who suggested the idea of performing acrobatic. If you want to scold me or beat me up, come at me. Hu Guan stared at Enlin with a scorching light in his eyes. Big Brotherin, it's all my fault. I didn't take good care of Junior Hu Guan, and I even did something so stupid with him. I'm willing to take all the blame. Yao Mingxi stared at Enlin with a look of guilt and self-blame. Enlin drew a sharp intake of breath. He was most afraid of men looking at him like this. He had goosebumps all over his body. He gave the two of them a very serious lecture, often lasting an hour. The two diehard fans were extremely engrossed in listening to their idol's lecture, and they even pulled out little notebooks to jot down the key points. Tian Lingling looked on from the side with astonishment. They were so engrossed in listening to such a boring lecture. Her worldview had been completely refreshed. Just as Tian Lingling was dozing off with her back against Debai, Enlin finally finished his lecture. You guys can go now, but be careful next time. Enlin was exhausted from lecturing, and he began to ask the two of them to leave. However, the two of them refused to budge, and they still wanted to stay with Enlin. Lin hesitated momentarily, but in the end, he still had to expend a great deal of effort to chase away the two diehard fans. What a joke! Who knew what terrible things would happen if he allowed two fanatical men to follow him alone? You're done? Speaking of which, it's really not easy being the team leader. Tian Lingling tucked her chestnut-colored hair into a bun, and a sweet smile appeared on her delicate face. Lin leaned against Dabai with dejection on his face, and he didn't want to say anything. First, he had triggered lightning in the commercial district of the capital city, then he had to rush to Yu province to rescue Huang Shanshan, and he had even been scolded twice by Huang Shanshan. Who could understand this kind of bitterness? The pressure of being the team leader sure was immense. Su Qinyun's problem had been resolved, and now he could only hope that Yao Mingxi and Hu Guan could exercise some restraint and listen to him. If that happened, he would be thanking the heavens and earth. After a short while, Lin's phone rang again. He looked down, and his body instantly trembled. It was Huang Shanshan again. It can't be that something bad has happened again. Lin was extremely uneasy. Hello, Sister Shanshan, what's up? Lin, is Tang Shimin one of your men? Lin faltered slightly upon hearing this. Tang Shimin was a fourth-year student, and he said he was going to look for an old friend before he left. He seemed like a very reliable person, so he shouldn't have caused any trouble. With this in mind, he could only muster up his courage. Yes, Tang Shimin is one of my team members. Ha! Lin, you're really something. Did you do this on purpose? Sister Shanshan, what happened? Tang Shimin and the sect leader of the Hua Shan sect were having a sword duel on Hua Mountain, and a section of the mountain was shaved off. What do you think happened? Huh! Lin's body went limp upon hearing this. F***ck. Why did they fight their way to Hua Shan? This is a very serious matter. Even though it's quite far away from the scenic area, you've still damaged the cultural heritage of the Hua nation. Are you trying to push this old lady to death? I'm not going to protect you this time. Huang Shanshan's yell sounded from the other side of the phone. Lin collapsed onto the ground in fright, and tears welled up in his eyes. What do you mean screw you over? It's my team member that's screwing me over. Whoever wants to be the team leader can be it. I'm not doing it anymore.